You damn right. Hope everybody's having a good Wednesday. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving, our last show of the week. Shout out to the bosses for letting us have Thanksgiving and Friday off. We tried to get today. Didn't work. Close. Close. We asked, though. We did ask the question. Remember, good lesson in life. All they can say is no. All they can say is no. If I could go back in time and ask out all those girls that I should have asked out while telling myself, all she can say is no. Who cares? She says no, walk away. She says no, move on. Young ladies, young gentlemen out there, take a chance. All they can say is no. Right, Zay?
Yeah, and don't grope them like the offensive line coach for the Arizona Cardinals, you pervert.
Correct. Don't do that.
I don't give a damn if they look like Sofia Vergara.
Do
not grope those women. I don't care if there is a language barrier. That's a damn shame.
Can't even believe it's a real thing. We may have to start with that one today. I'm Chad Hastings. That other voice you hear, of course, is Isaiah Collier. Happy Thanksgiving, Zay. What's up?
Happy Thanksgiving, Chad. You know it's a good sign when moms calls you to give you all the details about when you should be over on Thursday. And she says your older sister, who can throw down in the kitchen,
yes,
is spending the night tonight because it's that serious.
Oh, my God.
And it's going to get real tomorrow at the Collier household. So I'm too excited.
Okay. So, well, then we got to know, is there a particular dish that your sister is a genius at, and that's what you want?
She's amazing at cobbler.
Oh, okay.
Amazing. Whether it's peach, blackberry, cherry. My pops doesn't like cherry, so we don't have that as much. But I do. She could throw down on the cherry cobbler.
But your dad does like cobbler.
Yeah.
Just not cherry cobbler.
Yeah, so we're probably going to have an OG peach cobbler. You got the Bluebell vanilla with that. Maybe some Creamy Creations, 19, whatever the vanilla they have. Yeah. On point. So she's good at that. And
okay.
Yeah, she can do a little bit of everything. She's also really good at my Big Mama's chocolate cake with like chocolate frosting, yellow cake.
Oh, chocolate frosting, yellow cake.
Yellow cake.
Now, has Big Mama passed, or is Big Mama still with us?
Yes,
okay.
God bless her soul.
So this is an RIP cake.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she can make it to where all of you think of Big Mama.
Yeah. It's
okay,
close. It's way closer than my comparison to Tyrese Hunter. Let's just say that with TJ Ford.
You don't have to be drunk?
Yeah, you don't have to be drunk.
Okay.
Way closer to that. So,
yeah, that's a tough one. In fact, there's stuff in my family that my mom and aunt will admit that my grandmother who has also now passed, rest in peace to her, they can't get. They can't do it.
Yeah.
They say, well, we're trying to match her recipe. We can't do it. We use the recipe, something she was putting in there. She wasn't telling us.
That love.
Yeah, right.
It's that grandma love.
That's it. The grandma love. You can't recreate it sometimes. Let us know if you got some particular foods that you're looking forward to this Thanksgiving. We'll make ourselves hungry, and y'all make yourselves hungry today as well.
Also, is there anybody out there who's having a turkey bowl game with the family where I could come play all-time quarterback?
Ooh.
I'm not doing any running. Let's not get into it. If I throw a pick, don't expect me to run after the quarterback Baker Mayfield style.
You're just gonna freeze?
Yeah, we're freeze. I gotta reserve the arm. So, but I would love to come somewhere and throw some passes for someone.
That is an interesting request. I've never heard anybody throw out an all-time quarterback for hire on a turkey bowl. I think people in the Bowie community specifically should be interested in this because they could get a Bowie legend to come over and slang it around a little bit and help their team out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I might be a little bit like Quincy Carter 06, but that's okay. That's okay.
Is it?
That's a lot. Hey, still professional quarterback.
Still was a professional.
Was he out the league? He was in the league still.
In 06? I'd have to double check. They might have been still paying Quincy in 06. I don't know. I do not know. But at one time, he was a professional quarterback.
Yeah, one time he was.
Oh, so. They paid him real money. There's no doubt.
Hey, that's better than Uncle Rico over here that's trying to sling that thing at 76 years old. I'm better than him. So, yeah. Just give me the call. Somebody else Bex text line, hit us up. If you're having the turkey bowl, I'll definitely come out there, steal some, sweet potato pie on my way out, and we'll have a good time.
There you go. All right. So if your turkey bowls are going on, the food's going on, we hope you are having a great Thanksgiving week. We're going to get into the new CFP. We'll get into some Texas football, Cowboys football. I tell you what, we'll say before we do the specs thing, because we don't want to make them a part of this, we will give you the update that Zay referenced. I hadn't heard this story. The Cardinals offensive line coach and running game coordinator Sean Kugler has been fired after he allegedly groped a woman in Mexico over the weekend. Oh, good grief. This happened Sunday night. They sent him home on a flight, Zay, Monday morning, and he is the second Cardinals assistant coach to be accused of assaulting a woman this year. The other was in May in Indianapolis. I don't even remember that story.
Yeah, there's no distractions going on in the desert or anything. I mean,
wow.
I don't know if they're just playing up to the Hard Knocks thing or trying to make it, a better show, but this ain't a good look. This is horrible.
Say, did the Hard Knocks camera and Liev Schreiber follow them into that bar? Hopefully not.
I hope not, but hey, we know people in Cancun, Mexico City, they could be some nice places if you got some paper. And that tequila, it hits different over there. And I think the O-line coach, Sean Kugler, he tried to get away with something that he shouldn't have been doing, and just focus on the game, man. It's a business trip. And this week, Hard Knocks is going to be very interesting.
Man, now I want to watch even more of the way the season finishes out. But, boy, that team is a mess right now. So that story's out there for the Arizona Cardinals as they get ready for their next game. What's Arizona got this week? Arizona's hosting the Chargers. They're 4-7. Chargers are 5-5, one of the 3 o'clock kicks this Sunday. But we got a lot of football to get to before that. Let's get you the spec set piece, and we'll tell you what happened last night with the committee. All right, Zay, I hope I am wrong about the way I'm thinking about the college football playoff and the committee, but all I see is brands and big names surrounding TCU. That is all I see. I see TCU, and they're not discussing it on ESPN. Last night they had the discussion of, well, if TCU lost a game and still won the Big 12, could they be in? That's a dumb question.
Yeah, no chance.
They would have lost to Iowa State. Yeah. There's no way. But I'm not talking about that one. They're not discussing what if they win out. They'll have beaten Iowa State and K-State if everything holds, or maybe Texas, but it would be a 4-loss Texas team that they would beat. They're going to beat one of those two if they win out in that Big 12 title game. So last night, they go Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan ahead of them. And then at 5, they put LSU up there.
Ain't that bogus, man?
Even though they just played UAB. They said, well, their 2 most impressive wins are more impressive to us than the USC wins. So they slotted USC at 6 and LSU's at 5, both lurking. So you're telling me, everybody listening right now is telling me that you know for sure that if TCU wins out, they're in automatically. Are you sure? What if LSU wins out and they become the first 2-loss team in? Okay, they're in, and then Georgia would get in too, right? Because if they beat Georgia and they don't destroy them, Georgia's in. The winner of Ohio State, Michigan's in. Let's just assume the loser is out. Y'all are telling me that for sure, if USC beats Notre Dame, who's now ranked and pretty good, beats Notre Dame, and then wins the Pac-12 title game, you know who they might play in the Pac-12 title game, right, Zay?
Oregon?
The Oregon Ducks. Correct. If they win the Civil War, they're in. They would have beaten Notre Dame and Oregon. You're telling me that 1-loss team with Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley and all that star power, all that brand name, you're saying they'd leave them out and put TCU and Sonny Dykes in. Are you sure?
Yeah, TCU can't lose.
Because I'm not sure. I'm saying that even if they're undefeated. I know it sounds stupid as I'm saying it. I think they might put them in even if TCU cleans it out.
Yeah, maybe, and that would be so disrespectful. I wouldn't agree with that at all.
I wouldn't either.
I think TCU wins out with how tough the Big 12's been. We've seen it ourselves. We've been covering all these Big 12 teams that have been playing in Texas. Big 12's been a slobber knocker, and they've been able to get it done week after week, whether it's that game-winning field goal this past week, coming back all those games, not scoring in the 40s against the University of Texas and still finding a way to win that one. They've won every way possible, and then having to beat another solid team twice in the Big 12 championship.
Great point.
That should get them in. Now,
no one else necessarily has to do that.
No, that's tough. That's tough. Now, the LSU thing, That's a head scratcher because they got blown out by Tennessee, and Tennessee just got blown out by South Carolina. It's like, what are we doing?
Isn't it weird how that makes the Tennessee thing not matter anymore? It mattered when Tennessee had one loss, but now that South Carolina kicked them around the field, now it's like, oh yeah, Tennessee's out of the discussion.
Yeah, they're done.
So now we just focus on LSU beating Bama and beating Ole Miss. But like, well, wait a minute. You saw it. I saw it. Tennessee went to Death Valley and dragged them around their own
by
field.
30 ball.
Like they were seeding to plant grass.
Yeah.
It was they whipped them 40-13. Was that what it was?
Yeah, and then took some gumbo on the way out.
Yeah, but now it doesn't matter.
Don't matter.
Now that doesn't matter. I watch all these things. I'm trying to figure out how they think. And Zay last night, they could have sent me a message. Had they really respected the strength of schedule and strength of record for TCU, they keep talking about it. Their strength of schedule is this much better than Ohio State. Then rank them above them. Their strength of schedule is this much better than Michigan. Then rank them above them. Their strength of schedule is better than Georgia. Then give them some respect. But they never do.
To blue blood.
They never do. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, LSU, and USC. And oh, by the way, the other ingredient in there, as I mentioned, is Notre Dame. Notre Dame gets to decide a few things here at the end of the year. And if they pull off the victory over USC, yeah, it's going to clear some things out. No, clear the Pac-12 out fast if that happens. But if USC beats them, they get credit. You know who else and then let's go the other way. If they do beat USC, do you know who else gets credit for Notre Dame? Ohio State does.
Right.
Because that's who they play. If Ohio State loses, they still might have a chance to sneak back in if Notre Dame wins and looks strong.
I hope not. Ohio State, they've been a little shaky at times this season. They didn't blow out Maryland the way they should. And if they lose to Michigan, a team that struggled with the fight in the Illini last week, and somehow get in, this thing is so bogus they need to extend it to 8 because I just can't stand the politics that go around it if that were to happen. Now, USC, I think they got absolutely screwed last night. They should be sitting at the 5 spot. They lost to Utah, their only loss of the season at Utah, which the committee has them at 14. So clearly they think highly of Utah with 3 losses already. Mm-hmm. There's about 5 teams in the Pac-12, which I don't think we talk about the Pac-12 enough, which we shouldn't. I mean, we're in this part of the area. But in a way, I don't think they get their respect. They got about 5 teams in the top 25. Oregon State, they're there. UCLA, USC, Utah, Oregon. All 5 of those teams are in the top 25 for the committee. So
Oregon State's ranked and they're 21.
State, yeah, Civil War's going to be crazy this weekend.
I did not realize Oregon State was 8-3.
Is it that nuts?
8-3 until just now.
Beavers.
If you'd have asked me what's their record, I would have said like 5 and something. I didn't know they won 8 games, but they're ranked now. Yeah. The Civil War is now a ranked matchup.
So the winner of the Pac-12, especially if it's USC, and the loser of that Big Ten game that we got in Columbus this weekend, I think that team should be out. Clearly, there's more with championship week coming up next week, but I think that team should be out. And Southern Cal, if TCU were to keep winning, they should slide up there. And at the end of the day, we should have Georgia, Ohio State, or Michigan, depending on the winner, TCU, and Southern Cal there.
Yeah, and that would be that right now feels like it would make sense. But again, if LSU goes through and wins, then there's going to be arguments there. We should.
They have to beat Georgia. If they beat Georgia, it's going to get real spicy.
Yeah, it's going to get weird. And we all understand. Don't you just hate it when the pageant gets in the way of the football? I do too. One of these days we're going to get enough of an expanded playoff where we can stop talking about this crap. Because the best way to pay tribute to these conferences, Zay, is to get this. This is a stupid thing I'm about to say. Let the team that wins them maybe go play for a championship. Isn't that a goofy idea? Isn't that silly? All the stuff Zay just said about Oregon and Washington and Utah. Wouldn't it be wacky if 2 of the best teams in that conference got to play in a championship game and then that winner actually got to be a part of a playoff? Wouldn't that be wild? Yeah, we're headed there.
I forgot about Washington. They're 9-2.
Right.
There's 6 Pac-12 teams.
Washington can still get in the championship game. If Oregon State beats Oregon lost to Washington. So if Washington wins the Apple Cup, they win the tiebreaker, they're going to go play USC.
The Apple Cup's Washington State?
Correct. And it's at Washington State. I'm not sure if Washington State's going to do anything to them. I think they are particularly bad this year. I don't think that record is very good. I think they're more of a 4-5 win team, if that, right now. I'd be really shocked if they've won 8 games. I don't think they've won 8. I don't think that's true. So last night, I'm still seeing everything circling around TCU. Somebody says, I don't think my Buckeyes can afford to lose without some help elsewhere. Too shaky in the last month. I'm glad you said it. Yeah, I'm glad you said it that way, Jeff, as a fan. Why is it that when Michigan and Ohio State win close games, they're hardened and they're battle-tested? But when TCU does it, they're sloppy and they're not good enough. Why is that?
It's like just the respect for the Big Ten. It's always been that tough, physical conference with the classic teams in the Midwest area, so they get a lot of media coverage and whatnot, and people just don't have any respect for a team that used to be in the Mountain West.
Well, did you see the final of the Georgia-Kentucky game? 16-6. Georgia's been shaky this year. They've had moments where they weren't blowing people's doors off. Nobody's talking about it, though.
Yeah.
And TCU gets a different it's a different layer of respect or whatever. One thing I did agree with last night, I'm glad that the head of the committee ripped on USC's defense a little bit. Right. I was glad to see that. Because if you watched USC, UCLA, you just kept thinking, oh, my God, it's an Arena League game. They were scoring on each other so quickly. It wasn't just the numbers. It was the fact that DTR, if he doesn't throw a couple of those picks, I think UCLA probably beats them, but because they were scoring so fast. And that would be my concern as a USC fan going into this game, Zay. Notre Dame took advantage of big moments against Clemson and ended up blowing them out. And USC Notre Dame is a game where we're going to pick it coming up here in our Supreme Picks. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure on that one.
It's so hard to read that Notre Dame-Clemson game because that was right after they had a bye in between, but that was right after the Syracuse game where Dabo pulled pulled DJ and put in Cade Klubnik.
Right.
So I don't know if that kind of messed up the roster chemistry or whatever they had going on to the next week. DJU, who knows if he could have trusted, am I going to get pulled after this bad game? How much is he watching his back or looking over his shoulder going into South Bend? And they did get blown out, and Cade Klubnik got put in for one possession. I think he threw a INT. So that is a tough game to judge. But, yeah, the Marcus Freeman squad, they're handling their business as of late, and that could be a very scary game for USC. But even though their defense is bad, if you're going to have 6 Pac-12 teams in the top 25, then the winner of that conference should get some love.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, 15 is where Notre Dame sits going into this. They are an 8-3 team. They're up 3 slots to number 15 in the new CFP. So that matchup with USC and Notre Dame becomes a top 15 matchup. K-State is at 12. Texas is back in at 23. So if I'm a TCU fan, I'm rooting for K-State and Texas to win this week. That means I'll play Kansas State, but at least I play the best team possible, ratings-wise, ranking-wise, because Texas is not going to jump all the way up past 12. That wouldn't happen. But I would still want Texas to beat Baylor because I've beaten Texas, right? I want the other 2 teams in the Big 12 that are in the rankings, I want to have beaten them. I've beaten them each once, and now if I'm TCU, I hope I'm going to beat K-State again. And then you'll look at the committee like, really? What are you going to do now? If you hold it out and you're undefeated, you beat. And by the way, they need to beat Iowa State by something. They don't need to beat them by a field goal. They need to put a little bit of a show on in Fort Worth this week. I'm sorry, Sonny. I hate to tell you that way, but you do. Somebody's got to put numbers up in that game, or you're going to get lost in what happens this weekend. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. I mean,
I could see that. Here's what I could see. I could see them, depending on what happens this weekend, I could see them getting kicked back to like 5 next week.
Damn.
Just because the committee can do that. They'll do it. They will do it.
Who's LSU got this weekend?
Are you saying that because you're joking?
No.
They're at A&M.
So that doesn't help them, clearly.
No, it doesn't.
That doesn't help them at all. It don't matter how much they win by.
Yeah, great point. If you're going to respect them at all for beating UAB, which they didn't, they're just respecting their wins. They do need to beat A&M by a little bit. They don't need to make that close. If that turns into some ugly, close football game, it's bad for LSU. Put on a little bit of a show in College Station, get that done, and then you got to go beat Georgia, and then you're going to make the committee, you're going to really force their hand. for the first time because they've never let a 2-loss team in.
Yeah, the Big Ten's just so weak this year. I would lose so much respect, which I don't have much for them already, the committee, but I would lose even more respect for them if they didn't throw Ohio State, Michigan, loser of that game out.
Yeah, you want them out.
That's Penn State ain't ish. Whoever's on the other side, Wisconsin, Minnesota, all them schools, they ain't ish either. Yeah. So,
and you can't have a team that loses. You can't put them in and make your big argument. Oh my God, they beat this Notre Dame team. This Notre Dame team is good, and at times they're really good. That's not a great team, though.
No, and you got to be realistic of when you play them. Also, I hope does the committee take that into account? Like beginning of the season versus end of the season?
I think they do, because right now what they would tell me is that Ohio State has a win over the number 15 team today.
Yeah.
I don't think they consider Notre Dame a number 5 team right now.
Okay.
I think they're realistic about that part.
Okay.
Because I agree with you. I think you should get credit for if you beat a ranked team and they fall all the way out. I'll give you the credit for you had a ranked win, but we do have to look at where they ended up. Like the A&M's a great example. A&M was up at 6 earlier in the season, but if LSU beats A&M this weekend, nobody's going to look at them and go, "My God, they beat A&M."
Yeah, because a big reason
because we know where A&M is right now
for sure, and the big reason why people are wondering, man, how the hell is Texas still ranked? Because the committee thinks the talent is a lot better there, and they missed their starting quarterback for 3 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. That's part of the factor. And also, the way they beat Kansas, the whipping they put on Kansas, and the fact that they are in play for their conference championship game. I think that might matter to them as well. And a couple of those losses, one specific loss, the 2 losses you have to the number 4 and number 7 teams are by a hair.
Yeah, very close.
You battled both those teams in your house, and we could argue you should have won one of them, and you could have won the other.
So annoying.
You did lose both, but you fought like hell in both.
Yeah, that's what's annoying. Being a Texas fan, you were right there. Could have been undefeated at this point. Just a couple of lapses. But on another bright note, Chad,
yes,
that Texas fans could have going for them for this weekend, Lance Leipold signed a new extended contract to stay at Kansas.
Oh, no distractions.
No distractions.
Hey, there
no
you
distractions.
go.
Coach, you're here for the long haul. We are hype. You're one of us, clearly.
Good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Good for him. And he also said on Monday during his presser, or maybe not Monday, but Monday practice during his last presser was one of the best they've had all season long.
Ooh, okay. All right. Yeah, Longhorn fans are definitely Jayhawk fans this week. We'll continue to talk about that game. Up next, let's make some picks. The Supreme Picks. Zay and I were all right last week. 3-2. The rest of the Horn really helped us out. They all went 4-1. So we're going to try to get back on the winning track. We are still in the overall lead in terms of individual teams, but the Horn team is back in 3rd place. We got to make up some ground. So the Supreme Picks are coming up. We've got the crap bag coming up at 12:45 with the Scottish guy talking a little Texas and Baylor. At 1 o'clock, it's Justin Wells of Inside Texas and On3.com. His prediction for that game, plus he is a Cowboys fan. Does he think both teams get wins, big win number 8 during this Thanksgiving week? We will find out. Stay with us. Hope you're having a good Wednesday. Give us those Thanksgiving foods you're looking forward to and anything else you want on the Specs text line 337-3776. This is The Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy football. And oh, have they made it even easier for you for this Cowboys-Giants game. Get your booster pick in. That's right. No, not that kind of booster that you may need to get at the doctor. This is the booster pick with Dak Prescott. Here's how simple it is. You come up with a pick'em game. Dak's got to be in the pick'em game. You can pick higher or lower. That number is 247.5 on passing yards. You know where I'm going. Can you take me? higher Dak Prescott. I think the Cowboys are going to need some points. I think they're going to need some versatility in the game. I think he's going up around 250 or so in the passing yards. So you put Dak in there, and then you make 5 picks, higher or lower, and you're putting up one to win 100. It is that simple with the booster pick. The pick'em games are so easy. You're picking whether your favorite player gets a higher or lower stat total in this week's games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game, or in this case, you can win 100 times your money as long as you make Dak a part of that 5-player pick'em game. I've got mine in. I got CeeDee Lamb, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, and Daniel Jones, and yeah, they're all going higher than a number. Check out at C Hastings 1049 to find out exactly what I picked there. Sign up today with your promo code HORN. You get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com. Find them in the App Store, and don't forget to register with my promo code HORN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Must be 18 or over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. It's the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. Check out that Dak Prescott booster pick for the Thanksgiving Day game at Underdog Fantasy. Well, starting on a mellow front here on a Wednesday. Definitely not threatening anybody. I have no idea.
Paul Davis.
Who?
Paul Davis.
Paul Davis. Now, how do you end up on Paul Davis?
I don't know, but it's a cool night.
There's no story like you were 12 years old and, your mom played you some Paul Davis?
No,
nothing like that?
No, absolutely not.
What's the song
it's
called?
It's a smooth song, though.
It is smooth.
Cool night.
Cool night. Okay. We're going to have a couple of those coming up. Cool nights and wet nights and rain and stuff. Paul Davis gets us started today. As long as we are there, I do have the weather pulled up. I think I got the right day this time, Longhorn fans. Friday morning, going to bring that rain gear. 6 a.m. hour, 66% chance of rain, 77% chance of rain at 7 o'clock when we're getting Bevo Boulevard started, 67%, 70%, 73% in that 10 o'clock hour. That's how far I can see right now. So in the hour leading up to the game, you're talking about a 73% chance of rain. Bring your rain gear, and we will try to get it started on Gate 2 or at Gate 2 there at Bevo Boulevard. If you don't see the guys at Gate 2, we may need to move them just inside at Gate 4. So just walk down a couple and see if they'll let you in. I think you may actually need a pass or wait till tickets and all that stuff. But we got to keep the guys dry and the equipment dry and all that good stuff. So Aaron, Rod, and Harge may be starting inside DKR, just slightly inside there by the elevators.
I feel him.
Yeah, I've done a pregame show or two inside that building when the weather allows. Shout out to the good folks at UT for helping with that, and shout out to our great crew who's going to get it set up on Friday morning, 7 a.m., and they will open Bevo Boulevard at 8 from what I understand. So bring the rain gear, have a good time, go puddle hopping before Texas and Baylor. I kind of like that weather for Texas, Zay, because maybe it will force the Sark play calling towards the conservative side, towards the bludgeoning running game, because I think that's what they're going to need.
Yeah. Utilize Bijan Robinson because this might be it for you. I mean, you don't win this game, I think this is the last game you'll see Bijan Robinson play, because that means you don't have any Big 12 chances of making the championship game in Arlington. So, yeah, let's get everything out of them if we can. If they're trying to stack the box, you stack it with them and try to jam it down their throat, because this has to be a depleted Baylor team. I mean, yes, yeah. Texas is a rival and whatnot, but for them, I'll continue to say that. But this game that they just played against TCU, they had them, and that's a rival for them. When everybody leaves and goes to the SEC, Oklahoma and Texas, all they're really going to have is Texas Tech and Baylor. And TCU. Yeah. So that one really hurting for a short week to come around and try to bounce back in a game like this where Texas, they're feeling the momentum from that Kansas game. I'm liking Texas. You asked me yesterday who I like in this game.
Yeah.
I'm liking Texas.
Are you?
I'm liking the Horns.
Isaiah's leaning towards the Longhorns. By the way, I'd forgotten this one. Do you know what they call the Baylor-TCU rivalry?
No.
They call it the Revivalry.
Oh, wow.
Come on.
Oh, yeah.
No? Two religious schools getting together, the Revivalry?
Okay, that's cool.
You can't call it the Holy War because Utah and BYU have that.
Right.
You couldn't call it like the Texas Holy War or something like that. Plus, nowadays, they don't like you calling things Holy Wars.
Yeah.
They're trying to even get Utah and BYU to stop, so I'm one of the only ones that's still saying Holy War, but I love that name so much. But Revivalry, that's not bad. That's not bad.
No.
But you're right. Yeah, that had to take something out of them. We'll see if Baylor has got something left. We've been saying that about TCU recently. Let's see it with Baylor. One number that jumped out to me looking at stats for Texas, 112 in time of possession. They're right around 28 minutes. If they can do that, I think they can win the game. Just don't let Baylor do what they did to TCU. Don't let it get to 35, 36, 37. Don't let it get into that area, because that means Bijan's not on the field as much. That means Bijan's not controlling it. They need to control that. Here's another one for you, Zay. Baylor, third down percentage defense, 121 in the country. They give up 45% on third down. That's a massive thing to watch in this game. Can Bijan and Texas, can Quinn and Texas, Sark and Texas just move the sticks? Don't worry about scoring right away. Move the sticks and keep the ball away from them. That could be huge in this game.
Yeah, both teams should have the same game plan. I say should because we don't know with Steve Sarkisian. It should be giving Bijan Robinson Rojo, which who knows how healthy he'll be with him getting injured in Lawrence. But now Keelan Robinson, we saw Jonathan Brooks. He seems like he's finally getting used to the game speed of the college game. So both teams should have the same formula to winning, and that's running the football. So whoever does that better, I think Texas defense is better set on stopping Baylor's run offense than vice versa. So that's a big reason why I like the Horns. Both defenses and defensive coordinators are going to want the quarterbacks to showcase their stuff and make them beat you. And Blake Shapen, with his 14 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, I like my chances with how this secondary's been playing these last few weeks. Jahdae Barron, he's been playing well. Anthony Cook with one arm, he's given everything he's got. Hopefully, Deshaun Jameson can come back. I didn't see him much in the Lawrence game. I don't know. Maybe that was just me, but
I think you're right. Yeah,
I didn't see him that much. Hopefully, he's good to go. And yeah, this could be a game where you're putting all the pressure on Kansas State because they saw you win on Friday, and they know they're going to have a rival game. It's a rival game, Kansas State.
No doubt.
And Jalen Daniels, hopefully he's another week healthier, or Lance Leipold realized maybe this is a game Jason Bean could get in there and, putting all the pressure on Kansas State to get the dub and maybe give the Horns a chance to go to Arlington.
All right, let's set you up for tonight. After Ball Don't Lie, it is Longhorn Weekly with Sark, so you get a special edition to that on a Wednesday night, then a special Soccer Matters because we're right in the middle of the World Cup. Glenn and the crew with Soccer Matters at 8, reviewing the day at the World Cup and what's been going on. Remember, USA England is Friday at 1. That's on Big Fox. Longhorn Blitz podcast to 9 o'clock tonight with Jeff and Rod and Matt breaking down Texas football. And then at 10 o'clock tonight, it is Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, Stu and Justin, the AEW recap, and a WWE Survivor Series preview coming up tonight. So keep it right here on the Horn. All right, let's make these Supreme picks. Thanks to John McClellan and Supreme Lending, not for leading everybody. I think they're still in the lead. Not thanks for that. But thanks for helping us with this contest, the Pick'em. We're raising money for good causes. Chris Waters Realty, they're making a pretty good move too. But overall, Zay and I are the best individual team. Congratulations on still being
there.
This
was our worst week.
Worst week, but we still
lost to everybody, but we still had a winning record, so I'll take it.
We still kept the title. We were still 3-2. Yeah, thanks to the rest of the Horn crew for going 4-1 each because they did help. But we're still third place as a team. We got to get going. So, Zay, we're getting to these massive, massive games. Let's start with the big game. The game. Stanford and Cal is one of them, and Michigan, Ohio State is the other. I can never remember. One of them's called the big game. The other's called the game. Anyway, Michigan and Ohio State in Columbus. I'm leaning Buckeyes in this one. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the Blake Corum, running back for Michigan, him getting hurt last Saturday against Illinois, that's very concerning because if he's not toking that rock, then I think that sets them back. And, Ohio State, they're not the best defense in the Big Ten, but if Michigan's limited, then hardball, they're limited as a whole. I like Ohio State too, and I don't think Michigan's defense has faced the offense like Ohio State. Marvin Harrison Jr. might be the best wide receiver in the nation. Give me the Buckeyes.
Yeah, and they're favored by like 7.5, 8. I think they might even cover that too. I think Ohio State may beat them by a couple touchdowns or more. All right, Notre Dame at USC. Man, do I hope the Trojans win this game. I always root for them in this rival game. I do not like Notre Dame in this game, but I might actually be leaning towards them as far as a pick. Do you think they can pull this upset, or do you like USC?
Man, Marcus Freeman has them playing, and they had some big wins over North Carolina State and Clemson as of late. Both teams have been averaging 40 points in the last 5 games. We just talked about earlier, especially with that UCLA game, USC's defense, they give up a lot of points, and if Notre Dame can run the football, then they got a chance. Right now, it's minus 5.5 going USC's way. I think USC, Lincoln Riley, I think they understand the opportunity that they're in, sitting at the 5 or sitting at the 6 position. They should be at the 5, but sitting at the 6 position, they can't afford any lapses. Southern Cal, I like them.
You like USC. All right, we'll end up with the USC pick there. Ohio State, USC. How about Oklahoma at Tech? I'm not sure why we're picking this game, but apparently we're picking this game. Oklahoma at Texas Tech. Man, I guess I could.
This is a weird game, huh?
I heard Jeff Howe pick it earlier for Tech because it's in Lubbock. I get that logic, but like team-wise, if it was a neutral situation, I would think Oklahoma. You have a thought on this game?
Think about all the quarterbacks that McGuire's ran through this year. He had that Mohan kid, the freshman. We saw, what's his name?
Shuck.
Well, we didn't see Shuck. We saw Davis.
Davis was against Texas.
Davis was against Texas. Now they got Shuck in there. And, I mean, I don't know. With Tyrese Wilson, their big-time edge rusher, him declaring for the bowl game, that doesn't help them at all. Declaring for the draft. He's
effective immediately, right?
Immediately. He ain't playing this game, which is cold-blooded.
That is tough.
Come on. I get the bowl game, regular season, at home. Like, that's cold-blooded. So I don't like that at all. Oklahoma, they look pretty good with Dylan Gabriel and Eric Gray in the Bedlam game. Give me the Sooners.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, we'll go Oklahoma on the road there. All right, 2 pro games. We'll save the Cowboys for last. How about Cincinnati at Tennessee?
Ja'Marr Chase should be back. That's what I heard.
Okay.
Ja'Marr Chase should be back, so we know what him and Joe Burrow could definitely do. The Titans have won 7 of the last 8, and the game that they lost was to the Kansas City Chiefs with their backup quarterback,
right,
Malik Willis. Ryan Tannehill, they're definitely going to want to avenge the playoff game from last year where the Bengals knocked them out and Tannehill had 3 picks.
Yeah,
this is going to be a hell of a game.
Yeah.
I like the Bengals, but I don't feel good about it.
Okay, I could go either way here, but if you made me pick it, I would take Tennessee.
All right, let's go Tennessee.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a coin flip.
Yeah, I got a feeling that it feels like it could be like a Derrick Henry. You're in Nashville kind of game. I don't know if I'm kind of leaning Titans there. Okay, Cowboys Giants. Do you have the faith in the Cowboys? They're favored by 9.5, which I think is insane. I think I'd bet Giants plus 9.5. I think that's a close ball game. What do you think?
Yeah, that much for a division matchup is odd, but if you look at the Giants, they got about 3 receivers out, like ACL, MCL. So Daniel Jones, he's limited on his options.
Okay.
And we know they're one-dimensional. All you got to do is stop Saquon Barkley. Clearly, that's easier said than done. With the way the Cowboys looked last week, will they play that good? Probably not. But I think they also understand what's at stake and, with how good the 49ers are now, with the Eagles kind of going back a little bit, they have to win this game to get the Giants out of any type of tiebreaker situation with them. All the injuries to New York. Low-key, I would take the Cowboys on the 9.5.
Take them to cover.
Oh,
okay.
I would take them to cover.
All right. So we'll pick the Cowboys. We'll go Cowboys and Titans at home in the NFL. We'll go OU, USC, and Ohio State. Thanks to John McClellan, Supreme Lending, and the Chris Waters Realty team. Also thanks to Angie on our staff and Scotty over there at Coke FM who do all the counting up of the votes and picks every week. We probably should mention them more than we do. They make sure that thing is running smoothly. So shout out to them. We hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving, and we'll get more Supreme picks to you next week. Up next, it's the Crap Bag, a little Scottish guy before Texas takes on Baylor. Then we'll talk to Justin Wells of Inside Texas and get his pick on that game, the Cowboys game, and maybe talk a little bit of recruiting because there's some big recruiting going on at all times, it feels like, around Texas. We'll get a little bit of that in as well. Basketball variety this time. It's the Horn. All right, let's talk a little Twin Peaks. If you're looking for a place to go on Black Friday, this may be your location. Look, you might have to stand in line for all those crazy deals in the morning, but then you may want to head on over to Twin Peaks to watch the Longhorn game, to check out that World Cup game. Remember, USA plays at 1 p.m. Longhorns are going to kick at 11 a.m. Might be a great idea because the Black Friday costume contest is going to be going on over at Twin Peaks That should be fun. Plus the shot specials, including $3.99 Wild Turkey 101. So if you need a place to camp out for Black Friday, make it Twin Peaks. Also, be sure to ask your Twin Peaks girl about the next Cowboys game, not the Giants game because they are closed tomorrow for Thanksgiving. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. But once we get to next week, find out which locations are participating because they've been doing Cowboys giveaways all season long. Be sure to ask them about it. Get you some of that great food, get you some of that great drink, and have a good time at Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views, Stastny, San Marcos, and Round Rock, TwinPeaksRestaurant.com. Oh, wow. Well chosen. Listen to the way this one starts. Come on. Look, if you want to tell me some newer Aerosmith makes you mad, That's up to you. But come on. Come on. This is some deep, dark, we are into coke, heroin, and everything Aerosmith. Dude, Steven's doing all the drugs right at this point. Come on now. All the drugs. Whew. With a face in a beer. Oh, man. Last Child, right? Last Child.
Yeah.
Off of, God, Last Child is like first or second record, I think. That's a great song. Great song. Oh, man, when they used to do this one live and Steven get to the end. What I love, child! Get the punk in the street. So good. So good. Aerosmith and Paul Davis got us started.
So what's the deal with new Aerosmith, old Aerosmith?
See, look, I was with Aerosmith a long way. I was with them all the way up through. Some of the older fans, they didn't like, Love It in Elevator Days and Ragdoll and some of that. I was with them all the way through that time. I love Aerosmith. They're like, I met Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, probably my favorite American band of all time, rock band, but Aerosmith is right there. It's like 1 and 1A for me. It's a great show. I saw him just a couple years ago. Steven is still a monster frontman. I love Steven Tyler live. Love Aerosmith live. I'd see him if they brought him out in wheelchairs, man. They're still awesome to me.
Okay, that's good, because I thought you were going to say, people kind of divided off when they started messing with Run DMC, and I'm like, oh, that's racist.
No. And that's one of the things that hopefully what happened there was a lot of people discovered it, but that helped Aerosmith rediscover themselves. They had broken up in the early – drugs ripped them apart, and they broke up, had gotten back together, and that's one of the things that really helped to fire it back up for Aerosmith and show them to the MTV crowd. My age of kid, probably, Aerosmith should have kind of been fading out in our minds, but when that song came out and how cool it sounded and how fresh it sounded, it gave them a little, paddles to the chest a little bit, and it sparked their career back up, and then I was with them the rest of the run.
Incredible. I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. That's a big song, too. That's such an important song. God, that was great. And, oh, by the way, who's responsible for that song in a massive way? Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin, everybody.
Yeah.
Maybe the biggest, craziest, coolest visionary we've ever had in music. What a weird dude sitting around. You know what you guys need? Aerosmith. It was actually them, too. It was Jam Master Jay and DMC, I think, were the two guys that they used to mess around with it. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, it's a cool little, they'd mess around with the and then Rick Rubin was able to get like, oh, no, hang on. I think I might have Steven Tyler's number. Would y'all want? And then it just all, boom, came together. It's good stuff. Aerosmith and Paul Davis getting us started. We got Justin Wells coming up at 1. Let's get into the crap bag here. We'll get you a little Scottish guy and one more thing. Here we go. Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. All right, here we go. A little Scottish guy for you before Texas plays Baylor. Here we go. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you. Well, Longhorn fans, there's good news and bad news. Good news, you beat Kansas within an inch of oblivion, and Bijan looked like Emmett, Walter, and Ricky had a baby. The bad news is that you now need those same lifeless, pathetic, poor-tackling Jayhawks to stand up, tackle Deuce Vaughn, and beat K-State for you, so you can get some revenge on TCU. It's kind of like counting on the 7-year-old to make Thanksgiving dinner. Sure, Skittle casserole might taste strangely good, but it probably won't be considered a success. So rock chalk whatever the hell it takes, Leipold. We need you. All right, on to Baylor and the real problem this week. Can Sark plus PK plus a dash of Gary equal a sum greater than Dave Aranda? You know, Dave Aranda. The answer to the question, what would Lex Luthor have been like if he had had a more loving, constructive childhood? But the Horns must overcome. After all, Baylor is on the revenge list from last year. This one will make 5 of the 6 in a row. Gundy, we'll get back to you next season. And speaking of 5,
Hey, Bijan, thanks for everything, lad. How about one more time with a team on your back? UT62, Teddy Bears 3. This is SG, HELP.
All right, there you go. Scottish guy for you, hornfm.com. If you go to the show page, I think it got loaded properly today. Cross your fingers. But I think it is there. On the Bijan thing, Zay, I have one question. It's kind of an OCD crap bag kind of question. I'm all for guys, if they are juniors and they're leaving, going through the senior day stuff. I just need them to declare that. Is that a little too OCD? I don't want it to be, I think I might go. I need it to be, you're gone. And then I'll let your parents show up. Then we'll give you a picture. Then we'll frame a jersey. But I don't want it to be, well, maybe. So we all kind of know. No, if I'm running the show down at DKR, I would need Bijan to tell me that. And then that way we can say it to the crowd. Hey, by the way, y'all, Bijan's not coming back for a senior year. He's going through the stuff. Give him his love. Is that? I mean, that's just me. For juniors, I think it's a special enough thing. We need to have you say that you're done.
I think you have to be a senior for sure. Like,
Okay.
I don't think if you even have the opportunity to come back, you don't get a senior day, even if you're going to declare for the draft.
Hey, I'd be up for that too, because I agree. It's a special thing. So you're saying
you should be honored for being here for 4 years.
So mom and dad don't get to show up if you're a junior.
No, let them. They can show up, but sit in the stands. They don't need to get all the flowers and all that pageantry stuff. But yeah, and we also found out that Tyrese Wilson, edge rusher for Texas Tech, broke his foot. So another reason why he's not playing.
Yeah. That's true. I'm glad you mentioned that. I did not see that part of it. I saw the headline that he was leaving. So yes, we will not. No need to disparage him for that. That obviously makes sense. We've seen that plenty of times. Whether it's a bowl prep or it's late in the season, you get an injury like that and shut it down. That dude is so good.
Yeah. Shout out to Britt Venables saying he frowns upon the guys not playing in the bowl game and leaving early, even though he left Clemson in the dust and didn't coach their bowl game going to Oklahoma. Classy move, Brent. Classy move.
You'd think a guy that talks as much as Venables would keep up with all the words, but sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
That's like asking Jimbo Fisher to remember every sentence he's ever said. Coach, remember what you said? No, I don't. I talk too fast. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just say a lot of stuff and I talk too fast. Yeah. Or Jerry. Hey, Jerry, remember what you said at that press conference the other day? No, I don't. I talk a lot. Way too much. All right, there you go. Crap bag every day about 12:45. Up next, Justin Wells, Inside Texas on 3.com. Is he picking the Longhorns to beat Baylor? Is he picking the Cowboys to beat the Giants? And good weekend. There have been good weekends recruiting-wise for Texas recently. Apparently, there's now good momentum building on the basketball side. We'll see if Justin's got any thoughts on that as well. Stay with us. This is The Horn. This is Chad talking sinus and snoring specialist. Dr. Slaughter and his crew do incredible work, and they certainly did great things for me starting back in 2017, getting rid of the moderate obstructed sleep apnea, getting rid of my allergies for good. I sleep so well. Tonight's one of the nights every year that I end up getting a great night's sleep because I head to the in-laws. I end up sleeping in a different room than my wife because the beds are smaller, so we just be realistic. Hey, you sleep there, I'll sleep here. But also the dog usually is not with us or not in the room with me, so then for some reason, everything just ends up being a really good night's sleep. But sinus and snoring specialist is a huge part of that. So if you're traveling around over the holidays, just think about those moments where you're put in a room, maybe you're bedding up with somebody, you're bunking up with somebody that you don't normally do, or they're having to deal with your snoring or whatever. Get that stuff looked at. Get that stuff fixed this holiday season, because trust me, you're going to feel a lot better and you're going to rest a lot better. Call and set up an appointment, 512-601-0303, or go to sinussnoringent.com. It's sinus and snoring specialist. Feel clear, rested, and healthy. Oh, yes, hour number 2 on a Wednesday. Not just any Wednesday. It is Prep Wednesday for Thanksgiving feasts statewide and worldwide and nationwide. We hope you're having a good Thanksgiving week, whether you're making the food, whether somebody else is making the food, or, maybe you're just going out for the food. Whatever you do, we hope you have a great Thanksgiving with friends and family. Chad and Zay with you on this Wednesday, our last show of the week. I'm Chad Hastings. Isaiah Collier is here. And of course, we're focusing in on the Longhorns game with Baylor. We're focusing in on the Cowboys and the Giants, and we're going to hit both of those topics coming up with our guest. Before we do that, just a couple little notes in the NFL. Backup quarterbacks all over the place. The Jets have announced that it will not be Zach Wilson. He's getting benched for Mike White. Cowboys fans, you remember that name? Mike White went to Western Kentucky. He will start for the Jets, and Flacco's the backup.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
What a weird little insult to Joe Flacco. I thought he was hurt when I read this story. I'm like, wait a minute, if he's the backup, why wouldn't you go with Joe Flacco?
And it doesn't make any sense. And he's had some decent games with them earlier in the year, so I don't get it. The Zach Wilson thing, it's tough benching your number 2 pick already in the second season. It's not a good look.
It is weird. It is. You're right. They host Chicago, by the way, and I've heard people say maybe they'll look across the field and think maybe we should have drafted that guy.
Yeah, you think?
Maybe Justin Fields was the pick there. And the other story that just came out is the Texans. They're benching Davis Mills for Kyle Allen this week.
Yeah.
Houston's taking on Miami in South Beach. You're going with Kyle Allen.
I mean, they're up for the Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud sweepstakes anyway, so yeah, their pick last year, they could care less.
By the way, they're riding good on that right now. They're at 1-8-1, and I'm looking at everybody else in the league's got at least 3 wins. They are 2 wins clear of everybody.
That way, Lobby.
Hey, he's getting it done.
Yeah.
He's getting it done.
Yeah, he's putting some good stuff in that beard, too. Looks good.
He really is. He's got it happening.
Black Santa Claus looking nice.
All right, let's go to the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline and talk more football with our man Justin Wells, who's laughing at Zay's comment. Inside Texas on 3.com at Justin Wells 2424. What's up, Jay Wells?
Man, nothing but the sky and some humidity the day before Turkey Day in East Texas. What about you guys?
Well, you got to have humidity because that means that the turkey bowl will be properly done in East. You can't have an East Texas turkey bowl if you don't have some humidity, right?
I suppose so. I was really enjoying this cold weather. I mean, it was at the stage of damn cold.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoy it. I put on a hoodie this morning, and now I'm sweating. It just doesn't make sense, but then it does because that's Texas weather.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, before we get into this football stuff, lots of great news for Texas basketball fans right now as they get ready for this Gregory Gym game on Saturday, as they're still basking in the whipping of Gonzaga. Talk about what they've got going on recruiting-wise. There's the Holland story. There's the Johnson story. I heard today there might be another big-time guy coming in for a visit. Give me the latest.
Yeah, well, you're talking about Trey Johnson, and you're talking about the 2024 class. As for the 2023 guys, I think they're probably done. I don't know if they're going to have enough room to add any more guys alongside Ron Holland and A.J. Johnson. But, it's changing all the time, and so that's something to monitor. But right now, the biggest story isn't necessarily, having Trey Johnson potentially coming in for a visit. It's the waxing they put on Gonzaga at the Moody Center. I was talking to Zay about this off the air, and I don't know if I've been more surprised at a Texas basketball team than I was the other night. If you had a seat for that game, you saw some serious history. Because man, I'm not real sure if I'm hip to the song by Matthew McConaughey before the game. I don't know what I think about that just yet. But if that means you beat a really good Gonzaga team like they did, you play that song every time.
Yeah, Jay Wells, this basketball team, it was just all about finding and mixing the youth, guys like Dylan Mitchell and Arterio Morris, which those guys, they're just playing their role, and guys like Tyrese Hunter and Marcus Carr, who's playing so freely, he's having the complete green light. I wish Timmy Allen would come along, but he just has to find his way with all this talent there, but you got to be excited what this team could do once March and April comes around.
It's a really good mixture of youth and veterans. And I'm going to double down again and say Tyrese Hunter was the biggest addition to this class. and that fully knowing that, that Dylan Mitchell's going to play at the next level. He'll be a lottery pick next year, fully knowing that, Arterio Morris is the second, it looks like the second coming of John Morant athletically. And so, but I think Tyrese Hunter, just with the confidence that he shot the ball handling with the pressure, just, it's such an eclectic group. It really is. And I think Timmy Allen's mid-range will come around. I like what D-Shoe's doing in the paint. It's just a great mixture, Zay. There's some really good veterans. There's some really good young talent, and they're bought in. And right now, ranked number 4 in the country, Texas basketball is going to be fun to cover this year, guys. And I can't really wait to see how this whole thing plays out because, of course, they play in the Big 12, the best basketball conference in the world. And so, guys, strap in because I think this is going to be a fun season so far from what we can tell with Coach Beard and those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you're watching the Maui Invitational right now, Creighton, who the Horns have next Thursday on December 1st, that looks like a team that could play for a national championship. That's going to be a hell of a game, but the Horns, they got to take care of business on Saturday against Gregory, or at Gregory against RGV.
How cool is that going to be?
Oh, yeah, love that.
How cool is that going to be?
Love that game. I love that Chris Beard's doing that.
Yeah, in Gregory, absolutely. I think that's going to be tremendous. And so, to me, at the end of the day, I love that they're doing that for the Leon Black Classic. I love that's kind of the theme there. And if you've got tickets for that game, it's going to be awesome.
Justin Wells, Inside Texas, joining us. Justin, are you trying to run down a dog right now? Is that what I'm hearing?
I got somebody at my door, and Rubble wants everybody in the neighborhood to know.
Oh my God! Do you need to take a second and deal with the person at the door? We can do that if you need to. I can vamp if you need to.
It's all good.
Okay.
It's all good.
All right, just checking. All right. So in terms of the football stuff, let's start with Texas. Getting ready for this game with Baylor. We know the math. They need to win. They need Kansas to help them out. But after what you've seen now, and especially what you saw in Lawrence, give me your thoughts on the game. Are you leaning towards Texas in this one, or are you kind of fearing the Bears?
You know what? I think what Sark and those guys did against Kansas was the obvious. And it was not overthinking any of it. Let's just go out there with the guys, put the ball in the hands of the playmakers and let it happen. And what you saw was an absolutely complimentary football game, probably the most complete game they've played all season long. I kind of expect something similar against Baylor. Now, granted, Baylor's going to be a better team. They've definitely got a better defense. And I think that matchup, the Texas O-line and the front seven for Baylor is going to be a good matchup. It's going to be a physical game, but I expect heavy doses of Bijan Robinson. I expect, heavy doses of going after Baylor and literally attacking their quarterback. I think Richard Reese, their tailback, that freshman tailback they have, is outstanding, keeping guys in front of him, kind of controlling him like they did Devin Neal with Kansas. I think there's some similarities there. But I think Texas figured a few things out, and most notably was, hey, let's not overthink this. Let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's hand it off to the guy that goes in the first round next year, one of the best running backs that's come through the program in years, and just kind of watch him go. And to me, I think it's more of a simplification of that and a more complete defense. I think these guys have really found they played really well early in the year. They found a few lulls during the middle of the season. They couldn't get off the field on third down. Too many plays on that side of the field. Last 2 or 3 games, they've looked great on defense, and I don't expect that to change.
Yeah, Keandre Coburn, he's definitely earned him some serious money. And, with Senior Day coming up on Friday, Jay Wells, a lot of guys won't be playing here at DKR anymore, especially next season. DeMario Overshown, he's already in the Reese's Senior Bowl. So is Roschon Johnson. Who could you say that you feel good about that might be on, just the bridge of, am I going to leave next year or maybe possibly coming back? Jordan Whittington, one of those guys. Who do you think might come back for an extra season next year?
Man, that's a tough question, Zay. I don't think Jordan Whittington's going to be one of those guys that comes back. I know he's got another year, but I don't think he's going to be one. That's tough. I think a lot of these guys are they put together really good seasons. We talked about at the beginning of the year, the defense had about 8 or 9 cats that had that chip on their shoulder. It's kind of a put up or shut up type season. however well they played was going to determine, where they get drafted or if they get a shot in the league. I think a lot of those guys have surpassed those expectations. Guys like DeMarvion Overshown and Tavondre Sweat and things of those sort. But right now, it's tough to see who may stick around because it's with the portal opening up in the next few weeks. I think you're going to see a flurry of guys all across the country. I know Texas is going to try to add a handful to fill in some spots on that defensive side. So some of those guys that will go to the league, that will go to the next level. But right now, it's hard to determine which ones are borderline considering coming back, because I think the majority have had good seasons and they want to really use that momentum in going into the draft process.
Talking with Justin Wells inside Texas. All right, Justin, let's talk about those Dallas Cowboys. Here's how important the Giants game is, because the next three are Colts at home, Texans at home, at the Jaguars before the game with the Eagles. So, do you think the Cowboys get win number 8 this week against the Giants and keep the momentum going?
Man, I don't know, Chad, and I'll tell you why. We saw them play the best game they put together last week against Minnesota. We saw the Giants possibly play the worst game of their season last week against Detroit, and you know how the NFL goes.
Yep.
That usually turns. When it seems like it's obvious, it's usually the other direction. I think you're going to see a more finely tuned Giants team. They had a great first matchup earlier in the year. It was a really good game by two really good teams in the NFC. And Turkey Day usually brings out the best in the Cowboys. And so I expect a great game. I do not know how it's going to go on both ways. I know that the Cowboys are gaining more confidence on the offensive side. The defense has been stellar all year. But I think what we're seeing is the offense kind of opening up a little bit more. And Dak Prescott getting kind of back into the rhythm of being the guy once he had, missed the first half of the season to the thumb injury. And so right now, that's going to, I was talking about this with a couple of friends the other night. It's tough because I know how the NFL is. And I know that the Giants are a well-coached bunch. I was a little surprised to see Detroit go up to the Meadowlands and do what they did. But and you think there might be a somewhat of a letdown after a big win over Minnesota, who had the second best record in the NFC. Man, I think Dallas gets them. But I think this is close. I really do. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to that pass rush. If Michael Parsons continues to eat turkey legs 2 at a time, Daniel Jones is going to see pure hell. If they don't focus more, it looks like they got away from Saquon Barkley the last few weeks. If they don't put more focus there, I think it could be a long day for the Giants, and I would give the Cowboys an advantage. I'll say this. Dallas beat them earlier in the year without their main quarterback. Now he's back. I think that gives them the edge at the end.
All right. Also, do you want OBJ as a Cowboys fan?
It depends. That's a really good locker room right now, guys. And sometimes you don't need to make a change just to make a change. Yeah. If they need another receiver, hell yes. I thought Michael Gallup really played well against Minnesota, but I still think he's not your ideal number 2 receiver either. If Beckham comes in and keeps his nose to the ground and learns the system and buys in, I think it would be a great pickup. But at the same time, there's a history there. There's an injury history there, and I just don't want Dallas to make a decision and make a move just because they think they need to make a move. A few years ago, I'd probably say yes, but by now, I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence with ODB.
Okay.
Interesting. All right, Jay Wells, Turkey Day coming tomorrow. Let us know what's your favorite main dish. Now, not everybody eats turkey. I get that. Some people eat ham. We're in Texas. Some people even smoke a brisket. But what's your favorite main dish, side dish, and dessert?
The main dish is a Greenberg turkey. We've been getting those since I was born, I feel like. That's kind of a tradition in our home. And that's a big tradition in East Texas. That's a big turkey across this region. That's the main dish. I'm a big mashed potatoes guy, and fully knowing they are terrible for me, I'll eat them till I feel sick.
Yeah,
it's kind of like with pancakes. You at first you love them, and then by the time you're done, you're freaking sick of them. So I'm a big mashed potatoes guy. I'm a 7-layer dip guy. Green bean casserole, and yes, I have cranberry dressing with my dressing. And if you don't, I have serious reservations on who you are as a person. And then dessert. Woo, I used to be a big buttermilk pie guy, but the older I get, the more it's so sweet and rich. It's almost, begging for heartburn at 45 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I may go with something a little light, maybe some banana bread, maybe some rice pudding, something a little bit lighter. One thing's for sure is I'm going to be consuming a ton of carbs and looking forward to that nap on Thursday evening.
Oh, you could tell he's getting older because he's doing the combo. He's robbing Peter to pay Paul. I know I'm going to eat all this, so let me go with banana bread and rice pudding at the end, and I might not pass out. Let me see if I can do that. I know that math very well, Justin Wells. Check out Inside Texas on 3.com at Justin Wells 2424 on Twitter if you're getting your follows together. Brother, I hope you enjoy it all. Stay cool. Well, stay cool today. Stay warm if it gets cold again, and we'll talk to you next week.
Guys, I just want to tell you thank you for everything. I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for this opportunity to get to talk to you guys once a week. And you guys have a blessed day, blessed holiday.
We will do
Thanks,
it.
Justin Wells.
Justin Wells.
Happy Thanksgiving, man.
Nothing but love.
There it is. Nothing but love. 7-layer dip. He always talk. I gotta have that 7-layer dip. He mentions it every holiday when we ask about food.
That's an interesting choice on Thanksgiving because you get the deviled eggs and whatnot. 7-layer dip. It's like
That's
super
hardcore.
Texan.
It really is.
What is that? The beans and the salsa. What?
Yeah, it's kind of
cheese.
depends, right? There's no rule on what the layers are. You just need 7 of them. You can do all kinds of things.
Sour
with
cream.
Yeah.
Guac.
Oh yeah, you can do all kinds of things with a
You go
7-layer
crazy
dip.
on it.
Yep. And you can convince yourself that you're eating a little bit better with the 7-layer dip because it's off to the side. It's not really piled onto anything.
Put some lettuce on it.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And when you only get 2 or 3 dips on a particular dip, you're eating better that way too. Oh, I didn't have all 7. I just had 3 of the 7
There we
layers
go.
on that particular chip.
That's championship logic right there.
So how dare you accuse me of eating bad? What are you doing? All right, we hope everybody's got good food planning going on as we get ready for Thanksgiving. Up next, we'll hit a little bit of the flex. We got the high school playoffs in the 3rd round. We'll talk about the teams that are still alive in this area and where you can go see that full schedule. Also, we'll get you the World Cup report, a blowout already today on that scoreboard, plus Glenn Davis with a little bit more on the crazy upset we've already seen in this World Cup. And coming up at 1:45, a Where We At in Society so crazy, Zay couldn't even tell me about it earlier. He wants me to experience it live. That will happen coming up. So stay with us. It's The Horn.
now it's time to take out the
Whoa, hey. Might have to go a cappella off of that one. It's going to take a little sip of water. I don't know.
Change the mood.
All
Change
right.
the mood.
Little mood change there.
Yeah,
Little
yeah.
Mood change. If you're listening on the app or streaming online, we apologize if there are children nearby. By the way, I didn't explain earlier. We did not get a J.D. Lewis fantasy segment this week for one of the greatest reasons I've ever heard in my life. J.D. and his wife have very young children, 2 of them, I believe, if I'm counting correctly. And he says that his son, every single time he's on a phone in a car, his son just screams a lot. And he knew he would be in a car with family at the time we would have done it, and the kid would have just been screaming the whole time. So he said probably wasn't going to work. So I'm going to take JD at his word because you know how much he loves to talk fantasy football with us.
Yeah, for sure.
So
So it's getting down to that nitty-gritty playoff time.
Yeah, so I want to let Zay and everybody know that even though it's Thanksgiving week, JD is always thinking fantasy football. So remember, at JD Lewis FF, fantasy football, at JD Lewis FF to get your fantasy football questions in. Because like Zay said, coming down to the championship. Brett Favre team, you 9-2 now? Did you win last week?
9-3, we lost.
Ooh,
I had everybody on the bye week. I was picking up scrubs and stuff from the waiver wire. I had no chance.
okay. It wasn't that you got cocky and
No.
did something weird.
No, I'd be way more worried if my main guys were to lose the game that we just lost, which only person I played put up 115 or so. So that's not much. You know, usually my guys put up way more than that. I'm good going into the playoffs.
Do people ever get like super hammered and way overconfident and like put Justin Tucker in at quarterback and, you know,
You're not even allowed to do those
you can't do
things.
those things?
Nuh-uh.
Okay. They keep you from that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. What's a crazy drunk thing you would do in fantasy football? When if you wake up on a Sunday and you see that somebody in your league did what? You go, "Oh my God, he or she, they were hammered and they just didn't know what they were doing."
If somebody tried to trade Justin Fields for Justin Tucker.
Okay.
that would
okay.
be where, okay, this guy was clearly out of his mind, high, intoxicated, whatever you want, Percocets, whatever Aaron Rodgers be taking. He was on all that stuff and to make some trade like that. Or she.
Okay.
You never know.
And if the commissioner accepts it, then they're done. It's over. Yeah, then they were out hammered.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they allow it. Okay. So best of luck to all you fantasy players. We'll get you a little World Cup report coming up here in a second. Before we do that, why don't we get you a Flex 30 because the playoffs hit round number 3 this week. Here we go. Oh, I've been talking about it for a couple weeks. All I need for Christmas, I don't need anything for Christmas. Even though it's my birthday, I don't need anything. I just need one early Christmas present. I need Vandegrift and Dripping Springs. That's all I need.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
That's all I want. Dripping Springs plays Harlingen at 11 a.m. at the Alamo Dome. Nothing against you, Harlingen, but I hope that Austin Novosad and all those talented receivers and that really good defense that people don't talk quite enough about, I hope they get that win so that they can take on Vandegrift. Harlan, San Antonio Harlan, nothing against you either, but I need the Vipers to get that win. 7:30 at the Alamo Dome because then we'll see Novosad against Buchanan. By the way, we may see, next week we told you the all-flex top 3 will be out. You may be looking at, I don't know, maybe 2 quarterbacks that could end up in our top 3. I'm assuming Novosad's going to be in there. I haven't seen the full tally of everything. I was part of computing a little bit of it, but then I had to get it to our guy Derek over at the Flex crew, and we're kind of doing it like the Oscars, where you do part and I do part, but then they have a secret envelope and everything. So we may have a couple of the quarterbacks, heck, a couple of these receivers Coleman for Vandegrift, and I would assume, I guess it's be Cook for Dripping Springs would probably be, up for for top 3 status on the all flex. So hopefully we get to see those two teams in the state quarterfinals. Those games again happen at the Alamo Dome. So if you want to make a day of it, that'd be a pretty cool way to spend your Friday all day at the Alamo Dome. Also, you've got Westlake taking on San Benito. I don't think that one's going to be close.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a juggernaut. Westlake Chaparrals, they're looking to go for a 4-peat, which is incredible. You got to give that coaching staff and that team love. And yeah, I heard my man Ty Henderson talking about this morning. They have a turkey bowl game where the underclassmen get to play against each other on Thanksgiving practice
right?
day. Yeah,
That's
so
great.
When you know it's an annual thing because you're so used to making the playoffs this far, you're a serious team.
Yeah, that's silly.
That's ridiculous.
It really is, yeah.
Like, they're probably already getting ready for it about 3 months ago, and this has been planned out every single year, and that just shows how good they are. And yeah, shout out to them.
You think Coach Dodge is going to these games? Like sitting up in the top row and trying to stay out of the way? Or does he stay? You think he stays totally away from it?
I don't know. I don't know.
I bet you if they get to that title game, he's going to show up and see if they go 4 in a row.
Yeah.
I bet you he does that.
Yeah, I can see him making that to Arlington.
Not that they need it, but best of luck to the Westlake Chaparrals taking on San Benito. Lake Travis may need a little luck going up against San Antonio Brennan. I hear that Brennan team is pretty good. 6:00 kick in New Braunfels. Lake Travis gets the great dramatic victory with the field goal late, so they know they can hang in a game like that. Now let's see if they can advance. I believe if those two advance, Zay, we're going to get Westlake Lake Travis part 2 this year.
Wow.
Right? I think it's right.
Yeah, part 2.
I think they'd play again.
Yeah, I'm all for that, man. We know that rivalry has been big for years and years. All the NFL players and collegiate D1 players that both of those schools have produced, that'd be a special one, no matter who's favorite. But yeah, Lake Travis, just that gutty win that they had last week, like losing to Cibolo Steel in the early regular season, then coming back, beating them in the playoffs with their quarterback. I love the way they play, and they got a lot of grit. I could definitely see them winning this game tomorrow. Or when is the game? Saturday or
no? They're Friday. It's Friday. Yeah, on Friday. Yeah. Right. So all those games we're talking about there will happen on Friday. Remember, we've got Flex pregame for you about 5:00. When the Longhorn post game is done, it should dovetail right into that. Lake Travis will kick at 6 on 104.9, and then Vandegrift kicks at 7:30 on 101.9 and AM 1260. Also, another shout out this week before we hit Thanksgiving to the Dripping Springs volleyball team who won state first year in 6A. We talked about them earlier in the week. You can check out flxatx.com for Zach Lucero's coverage of that, including the interview with the head coach and the interview with, let's see if I get this right, Mackenzie Plante, I believe is her name.
Tennessee commit,
and the MVP of that championship match. You can check that out at flxatx.com. All right, we got a lot of things going on, including the biggest soccer tournament on planet Earth. Let's get you a World Cup report with Glenn Davis, and then I'll get you the updated scores from today's 4 games. One of them underway right now. The others have gone final. First, a World Cup report with Glenn. Uh-oh. Glenn's eating turkey. There he is. All right, a reminder, Soccer Matters tonight, special edition at 8 o'clock with Glenn Davis and the crew. USA, England, that's Friday at 1, remember, on Fox. So Soccer Matters tonight at 8 p.m. That is after Longhorn Weekly with Coach Sark talking Texas Baylor at 7. Then after Soccer Matters, you got the Longhorn Blitz podcast and Sports Guys talking wrestling. As far as today's games, the one that's underway is Canada and Belgium. They are in the 36th minute. No score in that game. Earlier today, Morocco and Croatia played to a 0-0 tie. I'm sure it was thrilling. Japan beat Germany. That's got to be an upset. 2-1, I would assume that was an unexpected result there. So a nice win for Japan, 2-1. And Spain beat Costa Rica. And I mean beat Costa Rica. Zay in football, American football, 7-0's just getting started. But at the World Cup, 7-0 or 7-0, that's just not right, man.
It's a blowout.
You are pouring it on there.
Now, question for my football fans and soccer fans.
Yes.
Why don't they play penalty kicks in the pool games?
That's a good question. I think
too time consuming.
I guess we're just trying to save time at this point.
Come on.
Yeah, no overtime period is played. No penalty kicks are dealt with. I'd be with you on that. Maybe they think at that point just immediately going to penalty kicks wouldn't quite be as fair as they would want it to be. Having it decided at penalty kicks this early.
How about this? Score more when you have the time.
Yeah,
How about that?
I know.
That's fair.
I know.
Like somebody has to
It's tough
win.
because you get 3 points for the win, but when you have a tie, you each get 1 point. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a.
I mean, the NFL could have ties. Hell, what?
Yeah, but
Colts are like 5-6-1 or something.
right, but we got
stuff like
but
that.
we got to get rid of that.
Yeah, we definitely got to get rid of that.
And I would tell the soccer people if they could find a way to not have ties, I think that would be better. But I think what they would tell me here is, look, Morocco and Croatia, they played the full time, and nobody could figure out, we don't want to have penalty kicks at that point because then you're going to give somebody 3 points just because they figured out penalty kicks.
Somebody on the Specs text line said it's generally to avoid injuries and because they used goal differential as the tiebreaker. So right now, Spain has a +7 goal differential.
That's true.
While Costa Rica has a -7 goal differential.
That's true.
Right.
They do like the goal aggregate thing. I will respect that about them.
Okay.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
I respect the math.
So now, that's right, Spain can keep adding on. You could say, why would you run it up there? It is important because they do, that gives them a +7 to play with if they need it in some kind of tiebreaker. So that makes sense. All right, so World Cup continuing next week and throughout the World Cup. You will hear World Cup reports from our guy, Glenn Davis. We appreciate his hard work. Coming up at 2:05, we'll check in with Chip Brown of Horns247.com, see what he thinks about Texas and Baylor. Also, the new CFP rankings as LSU, now the team lurking at number 5, maybe a little bit surprising to some. USC sitting at 6. So all that still to come. Up next, it is Where We At in Society. It is such a crazy story, or stories that Zay didn't even want to tell me about it. So we will have that coming up next as we roll through Wednesday. Last show of the week for us. We hope you're having a great Thanksgiving prep going on in your house. Somebody says, I'm glad I was listening on the app. Yes, they heard the swearing on that last song. We apologize for that.
That was just going to be a nice, clean metal song. Guess not.
Man, that's a rough one. Sometimes those live versions get you.
Yeah.
The song might have been clean, but they're going to set it up with something. Who was that, by the way, that we were going to hear?
MC5?
Oh, it's some old MC5. That would have been great. Okay, that makes sense why they would have been swearing. Okay, Where Are We At in Society? Coming up on The Horn. All right, let's talk. He was talking about eat 'em up cats. How about eat 'em up and drink 'em up? Specs is your place. If you are the person that they are sending out for one more thing. All right, a couple more things. All right, we need a 6-pack and this. All right, we need a bottle of wine and one of those pecan pies and this. get on out to Specs and make sure you take a list with you. Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods, a Texas family-owned destination for selection and savings since 1962. They will make your Thanksgiving a little easier with all that great stuff. If you are looking for one of those famous pies, oh, they have them for you. The maple pecan pies made with Crown Royal whiskey. Look, if Grandma doesn't want to work, doesn't want to put it together, we can understand. She's been making those pies for years. But that Crown Royal whiskey in the pecan pie might just hit the spot from Specs. So go get that. The made-from-scratch, mouth-watering crowd pleasers have become a Texas tradition for a reason. Maybe your family has already gotten stocked up on those. Hit the Specs Arbor Walk or Brody Lane locations for those incredible pies, for the gourmet party trays, and, of course, for the lower prices on all your favorites. And if you are just too busy and you need to go online, go specsonline.com. That's specsonline.com for online same-day delivery. For maybe you want to step up your cocktail game or your food game and you want some ideas, some recipes and things that they've put together. Their insiders have done that for you. Plus, you get insider info on seasonal releases. That's all at specsonline.com. Have a great holiday. Keep it safe. Make sure you get everything that they put on the list because you know the fun starts at Specs. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Right when it started, I just thought that deliberate pace, that great heavy sound. This is probably Ozzy and the Boys from back in the day, huh? Black Sabbath?
Correct.
Yeah. What's the song?
Snowblind.
Snowblind. Yeah, good stuff. Shout out to all you Sabbath fans today. Maybe play some Black Sabbath at your Thanksgiving table. You know, when you want everybody to leave. If you've got some overly sensitive people there, just play some Sabbath and rock it out. That'll work. Aerosmith, Paul Davis have also been on the show today. Always great music. Always all over the place with Isaiah Collier. Speaking of all over the place, we'll get to where we at in society coming up here. Let me remind you, though, that we do have the guys, Rod and Harge, coming up with Ball Don't Lie. They will also be joined, as always, by Aaron Hogan for your pregame show on Friday, Longhorn Game Day, brought to you by Bud Light. It'll be a wet one. They may need to start inside. Remember, if we have to go inside, it's right there at gate 4. If we're outside, it's gate 2, but it's going to be raining, looks like, right around that time. So bring your rain gear. Hopefully that'll change a little bit over the next couple days. But 7 a.m. we'll crank up the pregame show for you. That means it'll be Bevo entering on wet ground at about 8 o'clock. The team at about 8:30 is normally how they get that taken care of. So get on down there. They'll officially open Bevo Boulevard at 8 o'clock. Ball Don't Lie coming up. More breakdown of the game from those guys at 3. Tonight at 7, it is even more breakdown for you getting ready for it. Coach Sark with Longhorn Weekly at 7. Soccer Matters, a special edition with Glenn Davis at 8. Talking World Cup. 9 o'clock, Longhorn Blitz podcast. Even more Longhorn football stuff for you. And at 10 o'clock, it is Sports Guys talking wrestling. AEW just had Full Gear. They'll do a recap of that. And WWE, you know, if it's Thanksgiving week, it's Survivor Series. They've got a preview coming up. I saw a great promo this week of Hulk Hogan, Demolition, and Jake the Snake Roberts as the Survivor Series team from back in the 80s. It made me way happier than it should have. Zay, I got so happy watching that promo. It was Jake that sent it out. Shout out to Jake the Snake Roberts, one of the best ever. That was an awesome team. That was a good amount of sinister to put around Hogan, because he was such a baby face and he was such a prayers and vitamins guy in those days. To have Demolition and Jake with him, it helped to darken him. It was almost like a precursor to Hollywood Hogan, because he was a little nastier and meaner in that promo. I kind of liked it.
Yeah, I
Good
remember
stuff.
NWO Hogan when he was walking around with Hall and Nash and they were wilding and
Dyeing the beard. and
yeah, spray
everything.
painting people in the ring and stuff. Good times, man. Good times.
Oh, my God. There you go. We got all that coming up for you tonight. All right, let's see where Zay's going with where we at in society. He hadn't even let me see it yet. Here we go. All right, Zay, am I allowed to open up my DMs?
Yeah, check those DMs, man. This is
All right.
absolutely ridiculous, but here we are. This is the
Okay.
world, and I feel like you and I will definitely be down to watch this if they bring it in the States. Yesterday, there's a video that's been circulating on Twitter. We will definitely retweet it. I will for sure. Ain't that _Zay. MMA basketball. Yeah. MMA basketball. So
Oh
picture
my
an
God.
octagon
Uh-huh.
and then picture, for some reason, a glass goal. It's about 7 feet, so anybody could dunk on it. And picture a 3-on-3 game going on in the octagon with a goal like put up against, what do you call the little rope things? It's not ropes. It's like the
Against the
foam.
cage?
Against the cage.
Against
yeah.
the cage,
Yeah,
yeah.
against the cage. And in this clip, a guy wrestles another dude to the ground. They're fighting for the ball. He gets the ball and immediately dunks it where he shatters the backboard a la Darwin Ham, Texas Tech days, NCAA tournament. And yeah, I feel like that's just the game. I don't know. You don't really replace glass backboards like it's nothing. It's not like a Fisher Price hoop. It's a glass backboard.
All right, Zay, go to about the 45-second mark. There's no way. Like, off of the actual surface, that's not 7 feet. Dude, look where his head is. Look how low that bat. That's like, I mean, that might be 6.
Now, this is like a Middle Eastern league, so I'm not going to botch it
Okay.
on where it is. It's hard to pronounce. It's called like Batar ball, something like that.
Let me just help everybody out right now.
You sure?
This is real.
Like 7 feet's like Shaq's height. They could dunk Shaq's height.
You think that was? I don't know. I'm not sure if that's 7. Anyway, This is a clear example to me of just two worlds that don't need to be together. Okay, this is ice cream and barbecue sauce. I like both. We don't need to be together. I like basketball and I like MMA. Nobody needed to put the two together because I don't. What are the rules? Like, if that guy was getting up off the ground to go dunk it, can I grab his leg and put him in a toe hold?
See, I don't think you could dribble. I think there's a traveling rule. Now, this is just speculation, but I think after the 2 steps, you got to pass.
After 2 steps, I have to pass.
Well, if you get tackled, I mean, what's the traveling on the ground? I'm getting tackled. We're fighting for the ball. There's going to be traveling on the ground.
Where does the MMA part come in? Am I allowed to give him a nice body punch as he comes in?
So if you go to about 30 seconds and look off in the distance, there's the goal cam for the replay. Look at number 8 in the white just holding the dude in the back.
Okay,
so just holding him.
So basically, this is basketball in an octagon, and we're allowing sort of physical fouling and contact. That's basically it.
Yeah.
You're not telling me I can kick a guy in the face if he's driving for a layup.
I don't see any blood. I don't think it's that crazy.
Yeah. The answer is no. The answer is no. No, no, no. 1,000 times no. That makes no sense. Come on. Stop.
So looking at this video, there has to be a weight class because all these dudes are around, like nobody could be over 200 pounds. No one could be over 6 foot.
By the way, this is also an insult to everything that MMA has tried to build and do. Like
How's it an insult?
If I'm Dana White, that would piss me off so much. Like, really, you guys think we're that kind of circus? You haven't watched us enough. You haven't taken the time. You can say you don't like it. That's one thing. Not watching it is one thing, but that's the way you react to our sport. That's the way you react to the dedication and the training and everything that it takes for that. Has anybody ever had boxing basketball? Has anybody ever had like shuffleboard boxing? I've never seen that, but they're doing it with MMA. That tells me that somebody thinks it's a joke. Somebody thinks it's just like a carnival thing that they can mess with.
Yeah.
That's just insulting. To me as a UFC fan, that's insulting to what those men and women put themselves through and the training and the techniques and all the things that is there. If you're throwing that in a basketball hoop in there and just messing around, that's just dumb to me.
My signature move, if I was in this league, I would do the Dirk fadeaway, but when I put my knee up, it would go right in the guy's groin every single time.
They would call that the Dirk Diggler. That's what they would call it. They got him with the Dirk Diggler. And that's the game.
Oh, man.
Dude, you know they set that backboard to break. That had to be set.
Come on.
That's way too easy. That dude.
Way too easy.
Like you said, how much does the guy weigh that dunked that ball?
Homeboy was at least $187.
Right. He was not Shaq's weight. Not Big Country Bryant Reeves weight. Not Daryl Dawkins weight.
Oh, Big Country.
Not those guys. I'm just thinking of dudes that have broken backboards and messed up backboards.
That's what I'm saying. Look like Darvin Ham during his Texas Tech days.
I mean, come on, dude. That is crazy. It's the even crazier part is now I've watched it 3 times. Why have I watched it 3 times? I need to get this off my computer. It's making my computer run slower. I'm certain of it.
What's also odd, this is the only video I've seen of this. I can't find any other video.
MMA basketball.
I'm sure there's going to be more to come. Hopefully it'll come to America so I could see this live. Because I have to see this live at least once.
Oh, come on. No, you don't.
I love slam ball. You remember slam ball where cats were jumping on trampolines 15 feet in the air and dunking on 10-foot rims?
Okay, now that was just fun. That's totally different.
I heard they're bringing that back.
That was high-level entertainment. I can do that.
Yeah, Spike TV was at an elite level during that time.
See, that's just freaky basketball. I can dig that, and you're not insulting basketball too much. I feel like this is insulting both MMA and basketball. I think both sides are getting really insulted here.
It's kind of like NBA Jam, though. Remember NBA Jam? You just push guys on the ground, pulled up for 3. He's on fire.
He's on fire.
And the dude's out here has a torn ACL.
I do think that about this time of year, when the NBA's gotten their season rolling, before we get to like All-Star time or whatever, I do think the NBA needs to have one day somewhere around the holidays where every game is no holds barred. I do think that needs to happen. One game, no fouls. The no fouls game, we donate fouls to like good causes and things like that. or you let them call their fouls. One of the two.
Yo, I saw Patrick Beverly push the hell out of DeAndre Ayton last night.
Yeah, what is going on
he's had that mindset even with the fouls.
What is going on with with Patrick Beverly and this pushing in the back stuff? We now have video of him doing it multiple times to multiple guys. Can't be doing that.
I mean, in a way, he's protecting his guys, and him being the little guy, you always got to have that person on the team, but it's weak. And I agree with what Devin Booker said. I wish Pat Bev would push somebody in their chest.
Right.
Man up.
Yeah,
It's easy to push somebody when they got their back turned towards you.
Yeah, the etiquette in, old westerns and stuff is you don't shoot somebody in the back. If you want to shoot somebody, you shoot somebody when they're facing you. This is that's their equivalent of it. You want to shove me? Shove me. You want to go? We'll go. Don't come up behind me and give me a forearm shiver in the middle of my back.
I'm sure Pat Bev will talk about it in this podcast.
We really are in a whole nother era, aren't we? Aren't we? A whole nother era. I'm sure it'll be on the podcast or he'll put it on Instagram tonight, his reaction. What? What did you just say? Like Draymond Green. Draymond Green was given his 15th technical this year and then commented on his podcast. Well, of course he did.
He's actually been pretty calm this year.
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of him.
They've been losing.
They may need to crank him up a little bit.
They may need to.
Yeah, they may need to throw him in a room with some raw meat or whatever it is they do to get him ready. What are they? I don't know what they do to get him mad. Steve Kerr needs to get him mad.
Yeah.
May want to do that right now.
Also, people need to stop calling me Tasmanian Devil. I heard that on the Blitz this weekend on
Tasmanian
B&E.
Devil?
Yeah, somebody said to call me the Tasmanian Devil. Like, I don't get the thing. I do a Tasmanian Devil Dusty Baker impression. That's kind of
I bet you could do a really good Tasmanian Devil if that's what you were trying to do.
That's the That's it. The Zaymon Green, I get that one because we're both dark-skinned brothers. Yeah. Like, I get that one.
I never thought of it, but if you take Dusty Baker and you add like crystal meth, it does get you to the Tasmanian Devil pretty fast. I never thought of that before. It does. Dusty is like the down-home country sitting on a porch version of the Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah, yeah. Dusty's somewhere on the island right now, relaxing, chilling.
Dude.
Drinking margaritas with the toothpick.
Somebody said to Dusty, hey, have you thought about that lineup? No, get away from me. Get away from me. I have not thought about that lineup. We'll get to it. 2 o'clock hour coming up. Let's check in with Chip Brown of Horns247.com. Texas and Baylor, a rainy event coming up on Friday. We'll see what he thinks about that one and get his thoughts on the new CFP. Does he think TCU is in for sure if they're undefeated? Could they even get in if they lost a game? We'll find out what Chip thinks next on The Horn. This is Chad reminding everybody, if you are traveling, remember those roads can be slick, but also the temperature's dropping. Zay reminded us the other day, check those tire pressures. Zay got me to check tire pressures, and I was been airing up tires ever since. My niece was just in town, needed to air up her tires before she left. Just a little piece of advice there. Apple Leasing is the place where I got my new car, and I love it. I love the drive. Feels a little sturdier and a little safer than the last car I had, and I always love feeling safe in that wet weather or cold weather. And I certainly do. It's an easy process. I just called them up at 346-9977, 346-9977, and they take you through all the steps. Easiest and safest way to get a new car. You tell them what you're looking for, any make, any model, any car, any truck, and they walk you through it during the lease process. If you wanted to upgrade to something else, change to something else, that is possible. At the end of the process, are you stuck with some big balloon payment? No. Ask them the questions. They'll explain it to you. It is an incredible way to do it. And right now, leasing makes as much or more sense than it ever has. They do get all those discounts and incentives that the dealers do, but they will not get you the dealer hassle. They'll pass the savings on to you. They'll handle the hassle part, and then they'll deliver it right to your driveway if that's what you need them to do. 346-9977 or check them out at appleleasing.com. All right, let's roll hour number 3 on a Wednesday. Hope you're having a good one. A little bit cool out there, and it's been wet and dreary this week, and it is going to be rainy right around the game for Texas and Baylor. We do know that. Chad and Zay with you on this Wednesday. We hope you're having a good one. Hour 3 starts with Zay's choice for a beat. Zay, what are we doing today?
3-6 Mafia, stay fly.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thankful for Juicy J.
Thankful for Juicy J.
DJ Paul, Crunchy Black, Memphis Legends.
3-6 Mafia and a great beat. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Like that one. Yeah, good beat. No swearing. We didn't get ourselves in trouble. That's good. Had a little swearing earlier. If you're listening on the app, a little special treat for you right before Thanksgiving. All right, so are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Are we good? All right. We've got lots of football to hit. Obviously, Texas and Baylor are a big part of it. Also, new CFP rankings out last night. Is TCU sitting in a good spot, or are they trapped in a forest of brand names? Let's go to the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline and talk to Chip Brown of horns247.com. Check out that flagship podcast if you have not, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check out the Morning Brew. That article hits you every day as well. Also, don't forget tonight, Longhorn Blitz podcast with Jeff Howe of Horns 24/7, along with Rod and Matt. Those the 24/7 crew getting you all kinds of good content. Chip, happy Thanksgiving week, man. How are you?
Hey, happy Thanksgiving week to you, Chadzilla and Zay.
Man, it is it's such a change in 1 week's time for the Longhorns of all the therapy that was going on last week. It turned into everything you'd ever want in Lawrence, 55 points. And now they transition to this Baylor game. You were obviously there at the press conference like you are every week. Give me your sense for kind of where things are right now. It's always a short week, but man, I bet it's a nice short week for them considering that double nickel.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it was freezing cold in Lawrence, Kansas, but it was like a warm day at the spa for Longhorns fans watching Bijan Robinson go off. I mean, 19 carries for 172 yards in the first half, and finishes with over 200 yards rushing. He's now got 6 rushing touchdowns of 30-plus yards, most in FBS. And he also leads in forced missed tackles with 90. So it just shows you that blend of speed and power, his ability to go through you, go around you. He had, if he had been in the Heisman conversation, if they could rewrite that TCU game and run the ball on TCU the way Baylor did last week, 46 carries for 232 yards. And I told that to Bijan Robinson, and he was like, really? Mm-hmm. And he was mad. Like it's a bit confounding at times, but, he provided a bunch of Heisman worthy highlights in that Kansas game. And, he trucked 3 guys on one. He's zigzagging across the field on another. And then he goes, and you'll appreciate this, Chad, he goes old school Walter Payton over the pile.
Yep.
On that 1-yard touchdown dive right before halftime, and he got some air on that.
That did have a little Peyton feel to it. You're right.
Yeah, Walter Payton, Priest Holmes look.
Walter's my favorite.
Yeah.
Walter's my favorite of all time at that, man. Peyton was so good at the 1-yard dive.
This was nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
good call.
Yeah. I like the Priest Holmes reference, too, from the Sun Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, Priest could do it. If there ever was an athlete playing running back, my God. Priest Holmes, you could fill the people in on some of this, Chip. Priest Holmes was embarrassing guys in locker rooms with him. Like, these guys were, high-level college athletes, but Priest was even making them look dumb when it came to just being a freakish athlete.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll never forget Ricky Williams, like, as a freshman, saying Priest Holmes is going to be a really good pro. And at the time, Priest was banged up a lot. I mean, he a lot of his time at Texas, he was injured, but boy, was Ricky Williams right on that. I mean, Priest Holmes goes on to become the all-time leading rusher for the Kansas City Chiefs, only to be surpassed by Jamal Charles, who is about to be surpassed by Bijan Robinson on UT's all-time rushing list. If Robinson can run for 98 yards against Baylor, he will move into number 4 on the all-time rushing list behind only Ricky, Cedric Benson, and Earl Campbell.
Wow. Hell of a list.
Yeah, hell of a list. You know, Chip, you mentioned when you told Bijan Robinson about how Baylor was able to move the ball on the ground against TCU and how he was mad. I bet you Longhorn fans, they feel that type of pain because there were multiple games this year where the ball is just put into Quinn Ewer's hands way too much and Bijan Robinson wasn't utilized enough. And with the Horns sitting at 7-4, maybe getting to 8-4 with this win against Baylor, where do you look at with this team? Like, is it a successful season if they get to 8-4, or with those missed opportunities and those 4 losses that they had, which came from one possession scores or, you know, one score games? Is it just like they could have done more, they should have done more situation?
I'm with you, Zay, on that. They'll be able to claim progress, and I said before the year a successful season would be 8 wins in Arch Manning. And if they can get there, it probably will show momentum, progress. But I'm with you. I mean, when you have a running back like Bijan Robinson, he should be your closer. He should be the bulk of your second half offense. That's how John Makovic used Ricky Williams, how Mac Brown used Ricky Williams, how Mac Brown used Cedric Benson, even Jamal Charles. And you know, that's the frustrating part, is that Bijan didn't get the football enough in the second half against Texas Tech. He did not get the football enough in the second half against Oklahoma State. And I think those games could have turned out differently if Steve Sarkisian, could have used his creativity, the same creativity that allowed Bijan Robinson to have a 40-yard touchdown run against Texas Tech in the third quarter, and then Bijan all but disappears in the fourth quarter. And that, that's tough. And in that Oklahoma State game, we've talked about it, they were averaging 6.5 a carry and 7 yards a carry on 2 different fourth quarter drives, and they went away from the run, threw it on second down, threw it on third down, incomplete. One was a punt, the other was a missed field goal. And that, you absolutely look back at that and say, oh man, should have just kept pounding the rock. Because look at the Kansas game. They win the toss and take the ball. And Bijan runs for 7, and then they get the first down, and then he runs for 7 again. They throw it twice, incomplete, and punt. And you're going, what is going on here?
Right.
And then the next drive, they run it 9 straight times. And it was Bijan running it. Jordan Whittington ran it. Keelan ran it. They just ran it. And that was the formula for success and in a 55-14 game. And that's one thing I'll say about TCU this year, Garrett Riley. He's stayed patient with the run, with Kendre Miller throughout the year, even in that Oklahoma State game when they were down. And even Sonny Dykes said later, hey, do we need to step it up here? We can have enough possessions. And, when you have backs like Bijan Robinson and Kendre Miller, we know they can break it at any time. So it's not like 4 yards in a cloud of dust. These guys are capable of breaking it, 40, 50, 60 yards and have. And so, that's the tough part of it.
Yeah, Chip, it's such a big opportunity for them to get this win. Yes, they may not end up at the Big 12 title game, but to get that 8, which could turn into 9 with a bowl, I mean, that would obviously show that progress. Even with what they dealt with, it would certainly show some progress. Right now, I'm leaning towards Baylor in a bar fight because I trust Aranda more than I trust Sark, and I've not liked this matchup for Texas for a while now. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why you think Texas is winning this game. Are you picking Texas to win it?
Yeah, I'm picking Texas to win it. I think it's going to be, I predicted 21-17 on the website at Horns 24/7. Here's why, Chad. I think the Texas defense is playing at such a high level. I trust them now to show up after what they did to TCU and to Kansas, the two highest scoring offenses in the Big 12, to just, neuter them the way that they did. And Blake Shapen has turned the ball over. I mean, he's got 9 interceptions, 3 lost fumbles. He had a horrible interception last week against TCU. They got 1st and 10 at the TCU 11 with less than a minute left in the first half. And, don't turn it over, right? Kick the field goal, get out of there with a 17-14 lead. Instead, he throws it into the end zone. It gets intercepted. They get no points for a 12-play, 76-yard drive in a game that, ultimately did hinge. It was 1 point. And so, Shapen has had some costly turnovers in games. He had 2 interceptions and a loss to Oak State, 2 interceptions and a loss to K-State. The better defenses have gotten to him. And so I think that I'll take Texas winning the turnover battle and Bijan Robinson, Sark sticking with Bijan Robinson and Texas, wins a tough one.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Chip, this might be the last time Horn fans get to see Bijan. Well, it should be the last time Horn fans get to see Bijan Robinson at DKR. We know Demarion Overshown and Roshan Johnson are both playing in the Senior Bowl, so this is their last game at DKR. But are there any seniors or guys that might not have NFL aspirations just yet, or might, not say, hey, I'm going on to have a career after college, that might want to come back for another year in Steve Sarkisian's 3rd season?
I think the big mystery is on the defensive line. You got guys like Moro Ajomo, Keandre Coburn, Tavondre Sweat, who could come back for their COVID season, or do they think they're ready? And that's something. I mean, this defensive line, for as sort of underperforming as that group was, or whatever you want to say, disappointing. That whole defense last year was disappointing. They've been that good this year. And, Keandre Coburn said it a number of times, how they've clicked with Bo Davis. And I thought what Keandre Coburn said Monday was really interesting. He said, look, I'm going to sit down with Bo Davis, and he's coached in the NFL. And if he tells me I need to come back, he said, I'm probably going to be bummed, but I might need to listen to him because, he knows what it takes to get it done in the NFL. And he told me how much I had to work on my pass rush in this past offseason. It worked. Keandre Coburn is collapsing pockets, one game after another. Same with Tavondre Sweat. Texas leads the nation in quarterback pressures a year after, it seemed like, where's the pass rush? And so, tons of credit to those guys, but those are the guys that I think everyone's waiting to see what they decide, because, pretty much all of them have said, we'll figure it out at the end of the year. And even if they walk with the seniors on Friday, that maybe, they'll think about coming back. So we'll see, but that's to me the most interesting group of guys who have that COVID decision to make about whether to come back.
It'd be pretty wild if all those guys on the defensive front you just mentioned would all decide to come back. We will see. Talking with Chip Brown, horns247.com. Again, check out all the great stuff there, the podcast, including the flagship podcast, which Chip is a part of. All right, Chip, a quick CFP question before we let you go. I am a bit of an alarmist, I guess, if I was a TCU fan. I see all these brands around them. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan on one side, LSU and USC on the other. Notre Dame is helping out as an ingredient. I think if TCU goes undefeated, there's still a chance they could get left out. Am I nuts?
I mean, that would be so for as good as the Big 12 has been, and the fact that they, had a chance to get all 10 bowl eligible going in, to the last couple weeks of the season. I would have to think you're nuts, but stranger things have happened. I always go back to 2014 when
Right.
TCU was number 3, and the committee was so determined not to, reward Baylor for their crappy non-conference scheduling that they ended up dropping TCU below Baylor after TCU won 55-3 that week and put Ohio State in there because they didn't think they could explain, TCU being in there after, losing to Baylor in a high-scoring shootout. It just, you're right. They don't have the brand that some of those other schools do, and so we'll see if this committee has fortitude or not.
Yeah. The other weird little fact about this is think about how many of these teams at the top are just rooting like hell for Georgia. Like there's so many Georgia Bulldog fans right now. Michigan, Ohio State, and USC fans and TCU fans. They all need Georgia to win. That would really help them out if they could just have Georgia win and clear the deck. Because that LSU thing, Chip, do you think with 2 losses they'd have to put them in if they beat Georgia?
Man, LSU is peaking at the right time. I mean, it's it's going to come down to if this committee just values, how much they value Georgia as the defending national champ and with the season that they've had. So it'll be fascinating. I mean, there is some drama heading into this final week.
There always is, man. When they get that pageant put together and throw a committee up in Arlington, it always brings the drama. One more from Zay before we let you go, Chip.
Yo, Chip, how confident are you that Kansas could get it done against Kansas State and give the Horns a chance to get to the Big 12 championship?
Zay, unless something happens to Will Howard, I give Kansas very little chance. But K-State's had their quarterbacks have, I'm not wishing anything on anyone, but Will Howard stepped in for Adrian Martinez and was boat racing TCU in Fort Worth up 28-10. Then Howard gets hurt in the third quarter. They bring in Rubley, the third string quarterback. His first pass is an interception and everything goes to hell. So, Will Howard's just playing at such a high level. I told y'all that I thought if Texas got Adrian Martinez, Texas would win. And if they got Will Howard, I wasn't so sure. So I think if Will Howard's upright and playing in that game, I think K-State handles business.
Yeah, remember, Longhorn fans, you got to wait all the way till Saturday night. They don't kick till 7 out there in Manhattan. So it's not going to be till 10:30 maybe before you absolutely find out if your Longhorns can get the win against Baylor, if they're indeed going back to Jerry World. That is Chip Brown, horns247.com, the flagship podcast, The Morning Brew, and, of course, if you're on Twitter, at Chip Brown 247. We don't know if he had to pay for a blue check. We don't even know if he has a blue check. We don't ask these questions. Chip, hope you have a great Thanksgiving, brother. All the best to you and your family, and stay safe out there.
Hey, I never bothered with the blue check, so I don't got to pay for it.
Yeah, right. Dude, we have to worry about it. That way you don't even have to worry about the details, right?
That's right.
Stay safe,
Hey,
man.
happy
Thanks,
Thanksgiving.
Chip. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, sir. Chip Brown, good stuff there. Some interesting thoughts on the rankings at the end. Interesting, Chip and I have the exact same score, 21-17. I hope he's right and it's Texas, but that's the kind of game I see Baylor winning.
You think it's going to be that low scoring?
21-17, the rain, the sloppiness. I think it's going to come down to a couple possessions. I think there are going to be some turnovers. I think, slick ball, rain kind of stuff. But I want to be wrong. Sark, please prove me wrong. I trust Aranda. I do. I trust Aranda to outcoach him and make a couple moves that'll matter.
If they didn't have the dramatic-ass game that they had against TCU, I'd probably lean Baylor too, but I think that's going to take a lot out of them mentally and physically.
I hope you're right.
They had those
hope
guys on the ropes, 8 seconds left. They come out there and just boot a field goal in the last minute at your home stadium after you just got your ass whooped the week prior to Kansas State. I don't know how much this Aranda team has left.
You've put out that argument this week, and I love that from the Texas perspective, and I'm hoping we come back in here, and I'll tell you were absolutely right, because that makes a lot of sense. Texas getting to that easier ride through the game in Kansas and all that it took for Baylor to be right where they were, and then they lose it, and now you go short week. all that stuff, that could end up being big for Texas. I certainly hope you're right. It may be raining at kick. Heck, it may rain all the way through the game. We'll see how that affects things over at DKR. Coming up, it's Why Today Matters, November 23rd. Of course, today we'll look ahead to who's got a Thanksgiving birthday as well. Did I find a good Thanksgiving birthday? I found one. Found one good sports Thanksgiving birthday for tomorrow. We'll hit you with that. Also, some news and notes, including now charges for Michigan State players that beat up the dude in the tunnel. Yeah, multiple.
I forgot about that.
Multiple players are getting charged. We'll tell you about that, too, on the Horn. All right, let's talk a little AV consultations. This is that time of year where you're traveling around, going to see family, or family comes to see you. Sometimes you find out that, Uncle Joe has a better TV setup than you do. Sometimes you kind of feel good about your own setup, thinking, oh, no, we're better than this. But deep down, you know what you want. You know what you want your place to be. And if it's not quite there, AV Consultations can help you out. They are locally owned and operated since the late 80s. They're going to make sure you're satisfied. They're going to be with you every step of the way. And speaking of every step, let them handle every part of that process. Look, if you want a new badass 4-screen setup in your, man cave, I totally get it. But don't go out and buy the TV yourself. Let them handle all of that, because they'll get the right TVs that'll go together. They'll get the right cables. They'll get the right cords. They'll get the right speakers. They'll hook everything up the right way and make sure it's all done right. They've got those smart TVs that you'd be looking for. They've got all the Sonos audio equipment. They've got the hottest items in stock, and they are not raising prices this holiday season. So give them a call. Tell them you heard about it here on the Horn. It's 255-8678 for audio-visual consultations. 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. All right, rolling through a
Bop.
Wednesday. You're never going to get it. Oh, I always miss the name of this band. I can see it. It's the group.
Start naming your black bands from the 90s,
yeah,
black women's bands.
It's a group of women. They
Salt
are
and Pepper, TLC.
Right.
I know. Keep naming them.
I knew it wasn't going to be. I knew it wasn't going to be those two. This is one that I've actually been confronted with this song, and I don't think I was able to come up with the name. Hang on.
It's not Escape.
It starts with
It's not SWV.
It starts with an. Does it start with an E?
Yes. It's not Total. I literally named all the black women groups in the 90s.
Oh my God! When it started up, I'm like, oh yeah, that's E, and I couldn't
It's
come up.
not Destiny's Child.
It's not Destiny's Child. Oh my God! I had an excuse last time, and I don't think I have one this time.
In Vogue.
Good Lord! Yeah.
That's a tough one.
No, it's not.
Yeah. It's
No,
not.
I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate you trying. It's not tough. I can never come up with that name. I can see him. There's okay. Person for person, face for face, talent for talent. Was there a better group of that type than In Vogue? Was there one that was more consistently hot across the group and talented, and everything was put together more than them? Because I just remember there was 3 in Vogue.
Yeah, it was 4 of them.
There was a 4.
They were grown-ass women.
And they were all so beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody could touch them for that level. Let's be that good looking. Let's put out music that's that good.
I would say TLC.
TLC was good looking too. Yes, no doubt about that. In Vogue. My God, that was twice. So back in the...
Because not a lot of white folks know about In Vogue. Everybody know about TLC.
So remember when we told you about when I played black and white trivia? When I was doing, Jeff and I had a show, Ketch and I had the show.
Yeah.
AT and I are doing black and white trivia. The day she played that song, and all I had to do was name the artist. The day that happened, I had like, I think it was pink eye or something from my kid, when my kid was a little baby. And anyway, long story, right? I had drops that I was taking for the pink eye. I had just put drops in for some reason. I timed it bad, and it would just sting for a while. So I couldn't open my eyes, and it was stinging, and I was listening to it, and all the pressure was on, and I just couldn't come up with it. And I always use that as the excuse. I don't have an excuse now.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Other than Never Gonna Get It, I don't know much of In Vogue's catalog.
Yeah, such a catchy tune, though.
Oh,
At the end, when they do the whole never gonna get it, never gonna get it, never gonna. Oh, man. That's just so good. It's a great song. In Vogue, Black Sabbath. There's a back-to-back for you. Aerosmith, Paul Davis have all been a part of the show today. Lots of football that we are getting into. We had folks today. Everybody seems to be leaning Texas. Justin Wells says Texas. Justin Wells thinks the Cowboys and the Longhorns are going to win. Isaiah is leaning Texas. You got a score? Have you thrown a score out yet?
Let's go 38-27.
Ooh, okay. You think it's going to get up there in that high-scoring area. All right, so that would be Longhorns cover as well.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at about 9.5, I think was that number I saw. Or maybe 8.5 was the last number I saw. Chip Brown thinking Texas 21-17. I have the same score, but Baylor. So if you're a Longhorn fan and you think I'm a jinx when I pick Texas, maybe this will help you out. Trust me, I'm rooting for Texas. Can't stand Baylor. Always rooted for Texas in this game. Even when I was a young Aggie and didn't tell anybody about it, I never rooted for Baylor in this game. Ever. Cannot root. Rarely do I ever root for Baylor in football. So that is what we've been discussing today. Cowboys, Giants. Zay and I both picked the Cowboys in our Supreme Picks. We got the Cowboys beating the Giants. Let's see if they can do it. If they get that win and go 8-3, again, your next 3 games are Colts and Texans at home and the Jags on the road. Zay, they've got a chance to be 11-3 going to play that Eagles game. And that's back home. Eagles at home. They have a chance to be 11-3, but will they be that good? Will they go on a that'd be a 5-game win streak, right? Because they just got one. That'd be a 5-game win streak if they get to that number.
Yeah, they don't got time to mess around. I mean, the playoff race is getting real in the NFC. When you got the 49ers looking like how they looked, I know the Cowboys handled their business with the Vikings last week, but the Vikings are still a team that's going to be tough, and they're most likely going to win that NFC North. Eagles, they're still looking good. The NFC East, I still think someone's gonna catch up with them. All the injuries that they had and whatnot.
Well, they're just so physical, too.
Yeah, they're physical. Sirianni going in the crowd. Let's get our priorities right, Eagles.
You might be right.
Let's get our priorities right. Cowboys, handle your business on Thursday against the Giants. I don't think the Giants are even going to make the playoffs because Taylor Heineke and them boys are right there.
Oh, the Heineke fan club is ready to roll. Ready to roll. That's a big game at Washington for the Cowboys to end the season. All right, let's get into why today matters. We'll get you a big sports birthday and a couple girls you might want to party with. Here we go. All right, before we get to who Zay would rather party with on the birthday list, here's why today matters for you. If you're a Rockets fan, your man Rudy T has a birthday tomorrow on Thanksgiving. Happy birthday, Rudy T.
Ever underestimate the heart of a champion.
No doubt.
As he takes a sip of the cognac right after.
I wouldn't mess with Rudy Tomjanovich. I wouldn't do it. Unless I'm, what was the guy's name that threw the punch? Kermit Washington. If I'm Kermit Washington, I guess. That is still one of the most just brutal moments in sports I've ever seen because you just didn't expect that in a basketball game before, during, since. It was just so violent. Rudy, man, that was quite a punch to take. But obviously Rudy known for those 2 championships. He is 70. He will be 74 years old tomorrow. So happy birthday.
Yeah, had a tough go on the later years of his coaching career, drinking a little bit and whatnot, but made the Hall of Fame, and those 94, 95 Rockets teams will always be legendary.
All right, Zay, one of them is 35 today. One of them is 30. You can party with only one of them tonight. Snooki or Miley Cyrus?
Miley Cyrus.
I think I'd go that way, too.
Yeah, Miley Cyrus. There's something about her back in the day. Hannah Montana. She looked good on that.
She's 30 today.
She's 30.
How about that?
Doesn't mind going nude. You know, I love Miley.
Doesn't mind
Doesn't
going
mind
nude.
it at all.
No, she does not. No.
At all.
Does not.
Got a little thicker, too, for the right reasons. For the, on the right side. Because at one point, I was a little scared of Miley and thought she was partying a little bit too hard.
Because she was too thin.
Yeah, because she was too thin.
Yeah.
Now she got a little thicker now in the 30s. I think she's embraced that. Love some Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, she seems a little more comfortable being Miley Cyrus now.
For sure.
That's one of the things that's going to be important there. Happy birthday to both of those two.
Never been a Snooki person.
No, me either. A little too far. A little too extreme for me. But I did read today by the end of that show, she was making $150,000 an episode.
Yeah, she makes some coin.
Wow.
They had spinoffs and stuff. I think they brought back Jersey Shore.
Yeah, they did. They've done movies.
Yeah,
and
they're old as hell now.
Oh,
That's weird.
They've done all kinds of stuff. All right, happy birthday to those folks. Also, your update on that Michigan State story, 7 football players have been charged with crimes stemming from that assault of the Michigan player. 7, eh?
Yeah, you can't jump, homeboy.
Wow. One guy gets charged with felonious assault after the video shows is Kerry Crump striking the Michigan player with his helmet. Defensive end Jacoby Windman, shown in the video, has been charged with 1 count of assault and battery, and then 5 other guys have been charged with aggravated assault. So actual charges have been filed now.
Yeah, you get your ass whooped in the big house, and then you whoop old boy when he comes in the locker room before y'all, and it was just a weird situation, a weak situation. But who knows what he was saying prior to the game. I'm not saying that, they should have whooped his ass, but it's a rivalry game. It's a long game. I'm sure there was chirping in between it, and then he goes back there early, and you got to leave the guy alone. And now these cats are paying for it.
Yeah, just because he might have been asking for it didn't mean you had to give it to him.
No,
it did not. You needed to stay in control there because you're all in full uniform and helmets, and he's not.
Yeah, going Aaron Donald.
Terrible.
Aaron Donald swinging the helmet around.
Exactly.
That's a weapon.
Exactly.
That's a flat-out weapon.
Dude, I think it's one of the worst things ever. I still can't believe that one of my Aggie brothers did that on an NFL field and still got to play. The Myles Garrett thing.
Yeah.
That night I thought, oh, my God, is Myles ever going to play again? I mean, it was really that bad to me because that is so far across the line. When you grab that helmet in your hand and you swing it at someone, and Myles connected.
Yeah.
He did exactly what he was trying to do. To a non-helmeted player at the time, I thought that might have been it for him. But in this case, you're right. That looks terrible. In a tunnel, and you're swinging a helmet at a guy that is not wearing one. That's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 7 guys have been punished on the Michigan State side there. Coming up, we'll get you stems and seeds, couple other notes before we get out of here, including maybe a couple more picks, set you up for the games coming up. We got a lot going on the station and our sister stations these next few days. Stay with us. It's The Horn. All right, rounding it out on this Wednesday, about to head off into the Thanksgiving holiday, although, we're working and doing stuff, Texas and Baylor and all kinds of stuff going on. All right, Zay, should I know it?
No, not at all.
No chance?
0.
Is this brand new?
Not brand new, but way too new for you.
Way too new for me.
Yeah.
Gonna.
No. Gunna's locked up right now, but yeah,
okay.
nice try. It's
Who
all
is
right.
it?
Schoolboy Q featuring Kendrick Lamar, Collard Greens.
Ooh.
I thought it was appropriate.
Did you say Schoolboy Q?
Yes. Schoolboy Q.
Schoolboy Q. So if I'd said Kendrick Lamar, that would have been impressive?
Yeah, very.
Okay. Kendrick's a talented man. Everything I've heard from Kendrick, I have enjoyed. All right, so Schoolboy Q with Kendrick to round it out today. We had a good 3-6 Mafia beat earlier in the hour. I still can't identify In Vogue when I hear him. I don't know why. Black Sabbath, Aerosmith, Paul Davis, all on the show today. That In Vogue thing is going to piss me off for the entire weekend. Man, I'm going to have to go listen to that whole album. I'm going to have to do what you've never done, listen to 2 songs by In Vogue. You said you never can't think of another one?
Another In Vogue song. I know it'll come to me eventually. I'll be at home. It'll be like 2 a.m. and I'll wake up like the Undertaker. I'm like, I got it.
Like, love you
There
like
it
you want
is.
it. That's the one. Or whatever it is. Yeah. I don't know either. I have no clue. I can't even name the band, apparently. All right. So this is the year I've turned into an old man. And one of the things is I can't remember certain names. It's driving me crazy. That's why you're going to be here to help me.
I got you.
I need you here to help me remember this kind of stuff. I can tell when you realize, this fool is never getting there. So you just said, In Vogue, let's move on. Please, let's go. Like right now when we'll move into stems and seeds and get you caught up on the day. Here we go. Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. Lots of notes around football. Zach Wilson out as the Jets quarterback this week, but Mike White is the guy that's in, and Joe Flacco is the backup. I'm still confused on this one, Zay. Jets are not the way the NFL is now, it's not like they're completely out of things. They're 6-4, and they're going with Mike White?
Yeah, I'd rather go with a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but that's just me. Maybe I'm old fashioned. I don't know. Especially a guy that's helped you win a couple of games this season earlier.
Yeah.
And they got a plethora of problems. If you're benching your second-year guy that you're so highly on the year before, you drafted him first round, top 5, and now he's benched, they got some issues on New York Jets side.
3 winning matchups in the NFL this week. Cowboys-Giants obviously is that. The New England-Minnesota game on Thursday night is one of those for tomorrow night, and then Cincinnati-Tennessee on Sunday. Remember, Cowboys 3:25 kick, 2:30 pregame tomorrow right here on the Horn.
You see the Cowboys helmets that they're wearing tomorrow?
Oh, we going white throwbacks?
I don't know the
White with the blue?
jerseys, but the helmets, I don't think I've seen the helmets look like this before.
Really?
Yeah.
So not necessarily are they the white ones, or is
Yeah,
it
they're the white ones.
the white with the blue star?
Yes.
Yes.
But it's I don't know. It's a different color blue. Look it up.
A little different?
Look it up.
Okay. All right. We'll have to check that out. Yeah, because the Cowboys have been, a little hamstrung and handcuffed these last couple years because of 8 years they wouldn't let them do it. Thanksgiving Day. Oh, there it is. Thanksgiving Day. Yeah. That's the old school. They're going with the more modern stripe. I don't know that they did the 3-stripe, that thicker stripe in the old days when they wore that, but that's throwing back to Don Meredith days.
Right.
Yeah, I like it. They've looked good in those helmets before. They've played well in those helmets before as well. So Cowboys going with the white hats. That is very cool. And then on the college side, Longhorns and Baylor. So, Zay, you think the Longhorns get the win? Do you think then K-State is going to shut the door?
Unfortunately, yes, man. I love the Lance Leipold contract extension, the 2029. I love that. So now we don't hear any Nebraska, Wisconsin, Badger talk anymore. So this team can focus, and they know that this coach is going to ride with them. The underclassmen know that he's going to be here for the long haul. So guys who aren't entering the transfer portal, they got something to play for there. He talked about this week they had one of their best practices. This is also a rival game. I don't know what it's called in the Kansas area, but it's still a rival game. And this is one of the few years that Kansas football is even close to the talent level and the playing level as Kansas State football. Usually it's just a blowout. So I'm about 50-50 on the Jayhawks having the chance of winning the game.
Okay.
If I had to bet, I would take Kansas State, but I'm about 50-50. The contract extension, that's huge for me.
Yeah, that one is maybe, at least that would take away distractions. That may be something.
I'm trying to find anything.
How about
anything to build motivation?
The Governor's Cup is the trophy that's awarded to the team, the Sunflower Showdown. That's what they call it.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. I might have gone with something else. Just saying.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound as tough as it needs to. All right, coming up, it is Ball Don't Lie. Rod Baber starting his Thanksgiving. Is that Bucky Godbolt I see? I think it is. Bucky Godbolt, special guest with Mike Hards. That'll be a good show coming up. Longhorn Weekly at 7, 8 o'clock at Soccer Matters with Glenn talking World Cup. Longhorn Blitz podcast at 9. Sports Guys talking wrestling at 10. Zay, have a great Thanksgiving.
You too, Chad.
We will talk to you on Friday. Zay will talk to you on Friday. He and our man Ty Henderson will have the postgame for you of Texas and Baylor. Let's hope they're talking about a win. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Stay safe. We'll be back on Monday. See ya!